Anger is one of the most powerful emotions we experience. It can surge through your body like a raging storm, clouding judgment and leading to regretful decisions. Everyone has felt that intense heat rising from within at some point, a feeling so overwhelming it seems almost impossible to control. But what if you could tame that storm? What if you could face even the most frustrating situations with a calm mind, a steady heart, and complete control over your emotions? We live in a world where triggers are everywhere. From the rude driver who cuts you off to the slow internet connection that refuses to load when you need it most, there's no shortage of situations that spark anger. But here's the thing, anger doesn't just harm those around us, it destroys us from the inside. It affects relationships, clouds judgment, and robs us of our peace. The good news is, with the right tools, you can regain control over your emotions. And those tools have been around for centuries, passed down through the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Stoicism, at its core, teaches that while we can't control external events, we can control how we respond to them. It reminds us that power lies not in the world outside, but in the mind within. When anger arises, it's a choice to let it consume you or to let it go. It may seem hard to believe right now, especially when the emotion feels so uncontrollable. But once you learn to shift your mindset, anger becomes something you can conquer, not something that conquers you. The idea that anger is a choice may seem foreign to you, especially if you've spent years believing that anger is something that happens to you, something you can't control. But that's where Stoicism shines. It shows us that while anger is a natural emotion, it's one we can learn to manage. You don't have to let that flash of irritation spiral into a full-blown argument. You don't have to let someone else's bad behavior ruin your day or your mood. It's possible to feel the pull of anger and still choose a different path, one of peace and inner strength. Have you ever wondered why some people seem unaffected by things that would drive others into a rage? They don't explode in anger at the smallest inconvenience, nor do they carry grudges that eat away at their happiness. These people have learned the art of emotional mastery, and their secret isn't found in any mystical place. It's in the practice of ancient Stoic principles. These principles, though simple, are life-changing. They empower you to regain control, to face life's challenges with grace, and to transform your perspective on everything that used to bother you. The road to eliminating anger starts with understanding that emotions are not our enemies. They are signals, indicators of what's happening within us, and with the right guidance, we can respond to them in ways that are healthy and constructive. Stoicism doesn't ask you to suppress your emotions, to bury your feelings deep inside. Instead, it teaches you to understand them, to let them pass through you without letting them take over your actions or your mind. One of the most powerful lessons from Stoicism is that anger is often born from frustration that things aren't going the way we want them to. But think about it for a moment. How many things in life can you truly control? Very few. The Stoics teach that we should focus on what's within our control and let go of the rest. When you grasp this, it's like a weight being lifted off your shoulders. You stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable and instead focus on mastering what you can, your reactions, your thoughts, your emotions. This isn't just about staying calm for the sake of it. It's about reclaiming your peace of mind. It's about becoming someone who can handle whatever life throws at them with calmness and strength. When you stop letting anger dictate your actions, you open yourself up to more thoughtful responses, better decisions, and healthier relationships. You start to see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than battles you need to win. Think about how much better your life would be if anger no longer had control over you. Think of how much happier you'd feel, how much clearer your mind would be, how much better your relationships could become if you learned to respond with calm instead of rage. This journey isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about learning to channel your emotions in ways that serve you, not sabotage you. Stoic philosophy is not just a collection of ancient thoughts or rigid rules. It's a guide to living a better life. The wisdom shared by philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca has stood the test of time for a reason. It works. They understood that life is full of trials, but they also knew that true freedom comes from mastering oneself, not the world around them. It's about recognizing that your mind is your greatest weapon, your strongest defense against the chaos of life. Every time anger arises, there's a moment, a small window where you can choose how to react. You can give in to the heat of the moment, or you can take a breath and respond with clarity. Stoicism trains you to notice that window, to pause and reflect before letting emotions dictate your next move. This simple shift can completely change how you navigate life's challenges. At the heart of Stoic teachings is the belief that no one can make you angry unless you allow it. People, situations, and even the universe itself may throw obstacles in your path, but your power lies in how you choose to perceive and react to those obstacles. You can either be a slave to your emotions, pulled in every direction by whatever happens around you, or you can rise above, calmly assessing each situation and choosing your response with intention. Anger doesn't have to be a part of your identity. It's not a permanent state of being. Through the lens of Stoicism, you'll learn that anger is a passing cloud, not a storm that has to stay. It comes and goes, and with the right mindset, you can let it drift by without letting it take root. The more you practice these techniques, the more natural they become, and soon you'll find that anger no longer holds the same grip on you as it once did. This isn't about perfection. There will still be moments when anger arises. After all, we're human. But the goal is to equip you with the tools to handle those moments with grace and wisdom. You'll start to notice that the situations that once sent you into a rage no longer have the same effect. You'll become more patient, more understanding, and ultimately more at peace. Through the teachings of Stoicism, you'll unlock the ability to remain calm in the face of life's inevitable frustrations. You'll develop the strength to keep your cool when others lose theirs. And most importantly, you'll discover that true power doesn't come from controlling others or forcing situations to go your way. It comes from mastering yourself. Your journey to emotional freedom begins here. It's time to let go of the anger that's been holding you back and step into a new way of living, one where peace, strength, and clarity reign over frustration and rage. This is your opportunity to transform not just how you respond to life's challenges, but how you live every day with purpose and inner calm. Now that we've set the stage, it's time to dive into the powerful strategies that Stoicism offers for controlling anger. You might be wondering how simple ancient wisdom can make such a huge difference in handling one of the most intense emotions. But as you'll soon discover, these techniques go far beyond what you might expect. They hold the key to mastering your emotions and freeing yourself from the grip of anger. With each strategy, you'll uncover practical steps that, once applied, can transform your life. Let's explore these time-tested methods, and by the end, you'll see how Stoicism can help you regain control over your mind and actions. The first lesson Stoicism offers is the ability to pause. Anger often strikes quickly, like a flame igniting from a single spark. But in that brief moment before the fire spreads, there's a chance to catch it. This pause is where control begins. When you allow yourself to take a breath and stop for just a second, you're giving yourself the opportunity to assess the situation more calmly. The mind, when in the heat of anger, exaggerates everything, making small problems seem insurmountable. But with this simple act of pausing, you diffuse that initial surge and open the door to a more rational response. Taking control over your thoughts is the next crucial step. Anger is often born from how we interpret the world around us rather than the world itself. Stoicism teaches that events are neutral. It's our judgment of them that fuels our emotional reactions. When you understand that the anger you feel comes from your interpretation of an event, not the event itself, you begin to see where your real power lies. By reframing your thoughts, you take control of how you experience life. Instead of seeing a frustrating situation as a personal attack, you can start to view it as just another part of life, something to be dealt with, not raged against. Acceptance plays a major role in how Stoicism helps manage anger. Often, anger arises because things didn't go the way we expected or wanted. We cling to the idea that the world should work according to our desires, and when it doesn't, frustration builds. But Stoic philosophy teaches the power of accepting things as they are, not as we wish them to be. This acceptance is not about resignation or giving up. It's about recognizing reality and choosing not to fight against what cannot be changed. When you embrace this mindset, you'll notice that much of the anger that once consumed you loses its force. Understanding what is within your control and what is not is a fundamental Stoic principle that can dramatically shift how you approach anger. There are many things in life we have no control over: the weather, the actions of others, unexpected setbacks. Yet so often, we find ourselves angry at these very things. Stoicism encourages us to focus only on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. By letting go of the futile effort to control everything else, you free yourself from unnecessary frustration and emotional turmoil. One of the most effective ways Stoicism helps reduce anger is by encouraging empathy. When someone angers us, it's easy to lash out, to assume they are intentionally trying to provoke us. But the Stoics remind us that every person is fighting their own battles, often hidden beneath the surface. By practicing empathy, you begin to see the humanity in others, even in moments of conflict. Instead of reacting with anger, you can approach the situation with understanding, softening the edges of your frustration. Another powerful Stoic technique involves keeping the bigger picture in mind. Anger narrows our focus, causing us to fixate on the immediate problem. We lose sight of the fact that, in the grand scheme of things, many of these situations are fleeting and insignificant. When you step back and consider whether this issue will matter in a week, a month, or even a year, the intensity of the anger diminishes. Stoicism helps you put things into perspective, allowing you to see what truly deserves your emotional energy and what doesn't. Stoicism also teaches the importance of self-awareness in controlling anger. Often, we act on autopilot, letting our emotions dictate our actions without stopping to consider the consequences. But with the practice of self-awareness, you develop the ability to recognize when anger is building before it reaches a boiling point. This awareness gives you the chance to make a conscious choice about how to respond, rather than being swept away by the emotion. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, helping you navigate even the most challenging situations with grace. Another key element in Stoic teachings is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life is temporary, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Anger often comes from a desire to control outcomes or from frustration when things don't last as we want them to. But when you embrace the idea that nothing is permanent, you start to let go of the need to control everything. You can face disappointments, failures, and even the wrongdoings of others with a sense of peace, knowing that these moments will pass, just as all things do. A powerful strategy Stoicism offers is focusing on solutions rather than problems. Anger tends to trap us in a cycle of blame and resentment, keeping us stuck in the problem rather than seeking a way out. The Stoics encourage us to shift our focus to what can be done to improve the situation. This proactive mindset not only reduces anger, but also leads to more constructive outcomes. Instead of stewing in frustration, you channel that energy into finding a resolution, which is far more satisfying and productive. In addition to all these strategies, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of practicing patience. Anger often arises when we expect things to happen on our schedule and life doesn't comply. Learning to cultivate patience means accepting that things take time, that people move at their own pace, and that progress is often slow. With patience, the urgency that fuels anger starts to fade, replaced by a calm acceptance of life's natural rhythms. You learn to wait without frustration, trusting that everything will unfold in its own time. Stoicism also highlights the need to cultivate inner peace. Inner peace is not something that comes from external circumstances. It is something you create within yourself. By prioritizing inner peace over being right or getting your way, you make a powerful shift in how you approach life. When your peace becomes your priority, you are less likely to react with anger, because you recognize that no external event is worth sacrificing your inner calm. Another valuable lesson from Stoicism is learning to let go of expectations. Anger often stems from unmet expectations. We expect people to behave a certain way, for plans to go smoothly, or for life to follow our desired path. But when you learn to release these expectations, you stop setting yourself up for disappointment. You begin to approach life with an openness to whatever comes, and in doing so, you greatly reduce the opportunities for anger to arise. Stoicism also teaches us the value of humility. Anger frequently comes from a place of pride, when our ego is bruised, when we feel disrespected, or when things don't go our way. But humility reminds us that we are not the center of the universe. It helps us see that not everything is about us, and that often the things we take personally are not personal at all. When you approach life with humility, you naturally become less reactive and more understanding. Another profound Stoic practice is the art of journaling. The Stoics often wrote down their thoughts and reflections at the end of the day, a practice that helps you process your emotions and gain insight into your reactions. By writing about the moments that triggered anger, you can begin to understand the patterns behind your emotions. This practice not only provides clarity, but also creates space for growth and improvement. A Stoic approach to handling anger is by focusing on the present moment. Anger often pulls us into the past, rehashing old arguments, reliving past wrongs, or worrying about future consequences. But when you center yourself in the present, you find that much of what fuels your anger loses its grip. The present moment is often less dramatic than our minds make it out to be, and by grounding yourself in it, you can respond to life with a calm and clear head. Stoicism also teaches the importance of practicing forgiveness. Holding on to anger often comes from a refusal to forgive, whether it's others or even ourselves. But forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. When you forgive, you let go of the anger that ties you to the past and open yourself up to peace in the present. Developing emotional resilience is another key aspect of Stoicism. Life is full of challenges, and how we respond to them determines our emotional state. Stoicism helps build resilience by teaching you to view hardships as opportunities for growth rather than as obstacles. This mindset shift makes it harder for anger to take root, because you begin to see difficulties as something to be worked through, not fought against. Another Stoic technique for managing anger is practicing detachment. This doesn't mean disconnecting from life or people, but rather learning to detach from the outcome of situations. By letting go of the need for things to turn out a certain way, You free yourself from the anger that comes when they don't. Detachment allows you to remain calm and focused, even when things don't go according to plan. Stoicism encourages the development of gratitude as a way to counter anger. When you focus on what's going wrong, it's easy to become frustrated and upset. But when you practice gratitude, you shift your attention to what's going right. This simple act of focusing on the positives in your life can immediately reduce feelings of anger and frustration. Gratitude creates space for peace and contentment, even in difficult moments. Another essential Stoic principle is recognizing the imperfection of others. People are flawed, just like we are, and expecting perfection from them only leads to disappointment and frustration. When you accept that others will make mistakes, act selfishly, or behave in ways you don't agree with, it becomes easier to respond with patience and understanding rather than anger. Stoicism also encourages mindfulness in everyday life. By paying attention to your thoughts, actions, and surroundings, you become more aware of the triggers that spark anger. This mindfulness allows you to catch yourself before reacting impulsively, giving you the space to choose a more thoughtful and calm response. Another important aspect of Stoicism is learning to embrace discomfort. Anger often arises when we try to avoid discomfort or when things get difficult. But the Stoics teach that discomfort is a natural part of life and that facing it head-on builds strength. By accepting discomfort rather than resisting it, you reduce the likelihood of anger flaring up in response to life's challenges. Practicing compassion is another way Stoicism helps to manage anger. Compassion softens your approach to others, making it easier to see past their mistakes and imperfections. When you cultivate compassion, you're less likely to react with anger because you understand that everyone is doing their best, even when they fall short. Another Stoic practice is focusing on progress, not perfection. Anger often arises when things don't meet our expectations, but Stoicism teaches us to focus on gradual improvement rather than demanding perfection. When you adopt this mindset, you become more patient with yourself and others, reducing the chances of frustration turning into anger. Stoicism also highlights the importance of self-discipline. Mastering your emotions takes practice and effort, but with self-discipline, you can train your mind to respond calmly in moments of stress. This discipline strengthens over time, making it easier to choose peace over anger. Another Stoic insight is the realization that anger is fleeting. Emotions come and go, and no matter how intense they feel in the moment, they will eventually pass. Recognizing the temporary nature of anger helps you avoid acting on it impulsively and allows you to wait until the emotion fades before making any decisions. Stoicism teaches us the value of perseverance. Controlling anger is not something that happens overnight. It takes time and dedication. But by sticking with these practices, you'll find that over time, your ability to remain calm in the face of frustration becomes stronger. Finally, Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies in emotional control. It's easy to let anger take over, but real power comes from mastering your mind and choosing how to respond. When you achieve this level of control, you not only eliminate anger from your life, but also cultivate a sense of inner peace that nothing can shake. As we've explored the importance of mastering anger through the wisdom of Stoicism, the next step is learning how to diffuse anger before it has the chance to take control. Anger often begins as a small spark, a momentary reaction that, if left unchecked, grows into something far more destructive. Stoicism offers clear, practical methods to catch that spark early, allowing you to remain in control before it spreads into a full blaze. Let's now dive into how the Stoic way can prevent anger from taking over, ensuring that you stay calm, collected, and in control. One of the first steps in preventing anger from taking over is awareness. Anger doesn't suddenly appear. It builds, often from subtle signs that can be easily missed if you're not paying attention. Stoicism teaches you to tune into these signals, whether it's a quickening heartbeat, tense muscles, or a slight rise in irritation. By noticing these early warnings, you create the opportunity to pause before the emotion intensifies. This awareness is like a pressure valve, allowing you to release some of the tension before it becomes overwhelming. In addition to awareness, taking a step back from the situation is a powerful way to regain control. When anger begins to rise, it often feels urgent, as though you must react immediately. But stepping back, whether mentally or physically, gives you space to see the situation from a different perspective. Stoicism encourages this distance, reminding you that by taking a moment to breathe, you can see the bigger picture and prevent yourself from acting on impulse. Breathing deeply is another simple yet effective method for calming anger before it takes over. The Stoics understood the connection between the mind and body, knowing that calming the body can also calm the mind. When you focus on your breath, slowing it down and deepening each inhale and exhale, you signal to your nervous system that it's time to relax. This small but powerful act can help shift your focus away from the trigger and back to a state of control. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of not letting external events dictate your inner state. Anger often stems from a sense of powerlessness, from feeling that things are happening to you. But Stoic teachings remind us that while we may not be able to control external events, we always have control over how we respond to them. When anger begins to rise, shifting your mindset from victimhood to empowerment can make all the difference. You regain control by focusing on what you can influence, your thoughts and actions, rather than what you can't. Another critical Stoic technique for diffusing anger is to challenge the assumptions that fuel it. Anger often arises from the stories we tell ourselves about a situation, stories that may not be entirely true. When someone cuts you off in traffic, for example, your mind might instantly leap to conclusions. They disrespected me, or they think they're more important than everyone else. But Stoicism teaches you to question these assumptions. Are they really trying to offend you, or could there be another explanation? By examining these automatic thoughts, you weaken the hold that anger has on you. Stoicism encourages us to remember that anger often stems from an inflated sense of self-importance. When we believe the world revolves around us, every slight or inconvenience feels personal. But the Stoics teach humility as a way to diffuse anger. By recognizing that the world doesn't owe us anything and that everyone around us is dealing with their own challenges, it becomes easier to let go of the need to react with anger. Humility dissolves the ego, and with it, the anger that feeds on perceived offenses. Learning to view situations from the perspective of time is another effective way to prevent anger from taking over. In the heat of the moment, everything can feel urgent and permanent, but Stoicism teaches us to remember the fleeting nature of all things. Will this moment of frustration matter a day from now, a week, a year? When you frame the situation in terms of time, the intensity of your emotions often diminishes. It's a reminder that life moves on, and so should your feelings about the current situation. Another way to diffuse anger is by practicing gratitude. It might seem counterintuitive, but gratitude is a powerful antidote to anger. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you shift your attention away from what's wrong and toward what's right. This doesn't mean ignoring the situation that triggered your anger, but it helps to put things in perspective. Gratitude reminds you that despite the frustrations of the moment, there is still much to be thankful for, and this realization can calm the emotional storm before it escalates. Stoicism also teaches us to anticipate challenges. Life is full of obstacles, and anger often arises when we're caught off guard by them. But if you expect difficulties as a natural part of life, they lose their ability to provoke such strong emotional reactions. The Stoics call this practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By mentally preparing yourself for setbacks and frustrations, you're less likely to be thrown off balance when they occur. This mindset allows you to respond with calm resilience rather than anger. One of the most important Stoic strategies for diffusing anger is the practice of self-restraint. When anger starts to build, the temptation is often to lash out, to say or do something that feels satisfying in the moment. But Stoicism teaches the power of restraint, of holding back and waiting before responding. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but rather giving yourself time to process them fully before taking action. Often, by the time you've allowed yourself to pause, the intensity of the anger will have faded, and you'll be able to respond more thoughtfully. Another crucial aspect of diffusing anger is shifting your focus from blame to understanding. Anger thrives on blame, blaming others, blaming circumstances, even blaming yourself. But Stoicism encourages you to replace blame with curiosity. Instead of focusing on who's at fault, ask yourself why the situation unfolded the way it did. What can be learned from it? This shift in mindset transforms anger into an opportunity for growth, allowing you to let go of the destructive emotions and focus on what you can improve moving forward. In addition to self-restraint, Stoicism teaches us to manage our expectations. Anger often arises when reality doesn't meet our expectations, when people don't behave the way we think they should, or when situations don't unfold as planned. By lowering your expectations and accepting that life is unpredictable, you protect yourself from the disappointment that so often leads to anger. The Stoic approach is to embrace life as it is, not as we wish it to be, and in doing so, you become more flexible and less prone to emotional flare-ups. One of the most transformative Stoic practices is learning to let go of the need for control. Anger often comes from trying to force outcomes or control things that are beyond our reach. But Stoicism reminds us that most things in life are outside our control. By focusing only on what you can influence, your own actions and thoughts, you free yourself from the frustration that comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. This acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means redirecting your energy toward what truly matters. Another powerful way to diffuse anger is through compassion. Stoicism teaches that everyone is flawed, including ourselves. When someone's actions trigger your anger, it's often because we forget that they too are human, capable of making mistakes just as we are. By practicing compassion, you can soften your response, recognizing that their behavior is a reflection of their own struggles and not necessarily a personal attack. Compassion allows you to respond with understanding rather than anger. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of not letting small annoyances accumulate. Often, anger builds over time as minor frustrations pile up until they eventually explode into something much bigger. The Stoic approach is to address these small annoyances as they arise, either by accepting them as part of life or by calmly addressing them before they become unmanageable. By dealing with things as they come, you prevent them from turning into the kind of anger that takes over. A key aspect of Stoicism is the practice of perspective. When you feel anger rising, it can be helpful to step outside of yourself and view the situation as an impartial observer. What would someone else think of this moment? How would they interpret your reaction? By distancing yourself from your own emotional experience, you gain clarity and can see the situation more objectively. This perspective shift often reveals that the situation isn't as dire as it first seemed, allowing the anger to dissipate. The Stoics also teach that anger is often rooted in fear. fear of being disrespected, fear of losing control, fear of failure. When you address the underlying fear, you take away the foundation of the anger. By confronting what you're truly afraid of, whether it's rejection, embarrassment, or something else, you can begin to dissolve the anger that has built upon it. This deeper self-awareness helps you prevent anger from taking over because you're dealing with the root cause, not just the surface emotion. Another Stoic practice that helps diffuse anger is focusing on the impermanence of emotions. Emotions, by their very nature, come and go. They're fleeting and ever-changing. When anger arises, it feels all-consuming in the moment, but Stoicism reminds us that no emotion lasts forever. Simply recognizing this fact can help you ride out the wave of anger, knowing that it will pass. This awareness helps you avoid impulsive actions and instead respond with patience. Stoicism also teaches us the value of finding humor in difficult situations. While it may seem impossible to laugh when you're feeling angry, humor can be a powerful tool for diffusing tension. When you step back and recognize the absurdity of certain situations, you take away their emotional charge. Humor creates distance between you and the problem, allowing you to see it in a less serious light. This shift in perspective often makes it easier to let go of anger. Another effective Stoic technique for managing anger is recognizing that we often hold unrealistic expectations for ourselves and others. When people fail to meet these expectations, frustration builds. But Stoicism encourages you to lower your expectations, not as a sign of defeat, but as a way to align with reality. By expecting less, you're less likely to be disappointed and, in turn, less likely to react with anger. In addition to managing expectations, Stoicism teaches us to focus on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Anger keeps you stuck in the problem, rehashing what went wrong and why. But the Stoic approach is to shift your attention to what can be done. This solution-focused mindset not only reduces the intensity of anger, but also leads to more constructive outcomes. By taking action, you regain a sense of control and move forward instead of being held back by frustration. Stoicism also encourages us to develop emotional resilience by practicing detachment. Detachment doesn't mean apathy or indifference. It means learning to separate your emotional reactions from the event itself. When you're able to detach from the situation, you can view it more objectively and respond without being driven by anger. Detachment allows you to remain calm even in the face of provocation, helping you navigate challenges with greater ease. The Stoics emphasize the importance of daily reflection as a way to prevent anger from taking over. By taking time each day to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and emotions, you gain valuable insight into what triggers your anger and how you can manage it better in the future. This practice of self-reflection not only helps you understand yourself more deeply, but also equips you with the tools to prevent anger before it starts. Another Stoic principle that helps diffuse anger is focusing on the present moment. Anger often stems from past hurts or future worries, but Stoicism teaches that the present is all we truly have. By grounding yourself in the here and now, you release the grip that past frustrations or future anxieties have on you. This mindfulness allows you to respond to what is happening in front of you, rather than reacting to old wounds or imagined outcomes. Stoicism also highlights the value of practicing patience. Anger often arises when we're in a rush, rushing to meet expectations, rushing to get what we want, or rushing to prove a point. But patience allows you to slow down and accept that things take time. When you cultivate patience, you create space between the trigger and your response, allowing anger to dissipate before it has a chance to take over. Finally, Stoicism teaches us the importance of inner peace. The ultimate goal is not to avoid anger altogether, but to develop the strength to maintain your peace regardless of what life throws at you. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances. It's something you cultivate within. When you prioritize inner peace, you become less reactive and more grounded, preventing anger from ever having the chance to take control. As we've seen, Stoicism provides powerful tools to diffuse anger before it can take over. But preventing anger is just one part of the equation. Now, it's time to look deeper into how Stoicism helps you remain calm in every situation. Life is full of unexpected challenges, and keeping a steady mind is a skill that not only protects your peace, but also improves your ability to handle whatever comes your way. By mastering these 8 Stoic strategies, you'll be equipped to maintain your composure no matter what obstacles arise. One of the first strategies to remain calm in any situation is learning to accept the present moment. Resistance to what is happening only fuels inner turmoil, but acceptance allows you to flow with the situation instead of against it. When you accept reality as it unfolds, you let go of the frustration that comes from wishing things were different. Acceptance doesn't mean passively allowing things to happen. Rather, it's about recognizing that this moment is already here, and the only way forward is to respond calmly and mindfully. A second strategy is to focus on your breath. In stressful situations, it's easy for your breath to become shallow and rapid, which only increases anxiety and tension. But when you take control of your breathing, you send a powerful signal to your body and mind to relax. Deep, measured breaths slow down the rush of emotions, allowing your mind to regain clarity. By simply focusing on your breath, you create a sense of inner calm that steadies you, no matter what's happening around you. Another vital Stoic approach is controlling your perspective. In the face of difficulties, your initial reaction might be panic, frustration, or anxiety. But Stoicism teaches that how you choose to view the situation can either fuel chaos or bring you calm. By consciously reframing your perspective, you can turn a stressful moment into one of opportunity or growth. Rather than seeing obstacles as threats, you begin to view them as challenges that can strengthen your character. This shift in perspective is a powerful tool for maintaining composure. Another key Stoic principle is detachment from outcomes. So often, our calm is shattered when things don't go the way we expected. We invest so much energy into specific outcomes that when they don't materialize, we feel frustrated or defeated. Stoicism reminds us that the outcome is never fully in our control. What we can control, however, is how we respond. By detaching from the need for things to turn out a certain way, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster that comes with expectations. This detachment brings a deep sense of calm, knowing that your worth and happiness don't depend on external results. Another important technique is practicing gratitude, even in the most difficult moments. It's easy to focus on what's going wrong, but Stoicism teaches the value of recognizing what's going right. Gratitude shifts your attention from the problems to the blessings, even if they're small. When you focus on gratitude, you cultivate an inner calm that isn't easily shaken by life's challenges. It's a reminder that even in the toughest situations, there is something to be thankful for, and this mindset helps you stay grounded and peaceful. One of the most powerful ways to remain calm is to remember the impermanence of all things. Nothing in life lasts forever, not the joys nor the struggles. When you understand that every situation, no matter how difficult, will eventually pass, it becomes easier to stay calm in the moment. You realize that your current stress is temporary, and this knowledge gives you the strength to face it with a calm and steady mind. By accepting the transient nature of life, you prevent yourself from getting caught up in the emotions of the moment. Another technique is focusing on what is within your control. Often, anxiety and stress arise when we're trying to manage things beyond our control, whether it's other people's actions, the weather, or unexpected life events. Stoicism teaches that calmness comes from focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and responses. By channeling your energy into what you can influence, you not only regain a sense of power, but also eliminate the frustration that comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. A practice that Stoics highly value is regular reflection. Taking time at the end of each day to reflect on how you handled situations, what triggered stress, and how you can improve allows you to build a stronger sense of self-awareness. This reflective practice creates a buffer between your emotions and your actions. The more you understand your reactions, the better equipped you are to remain calm in the future. Reflection is a way of learning from your experiences, ensuring that each challenge makes you more resilient. Patience is another cornerstone of remaining calm. In today's fast-paced world, we often expect instant results and quick solutions. When things don't move at the speed we want, frustration builds. But Stoicism teaches the value of patience, understanding that everything happens in its own time. By cultivating patience, you reduce the stress of trying to force outcomes and instead allow things to unfold naturally. This calm, patient approach gives you the inner strength to handle life's delays without losing your composure. Another essential strategy is simplifying your thoughts. In stressful situations, the mind can become cluttered with 1,000 worries, fears, and hypothetical scenarios. Stoicism encourages you to strip away the unnecessary noise and focus only on what's essential. By simplifying your thoughts, you create mental space for calm to flourish. This practice helps you clear away the distractions and zero in on the most important aspects of the situation, allowing you to respond from a place of clarity and calmness. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of accepting failure and setbacks. Too often, we let failures shake our sense of self, leading to stress and anxiety. But the Stoic perspective views failure as an inevitable part of growth. Instead of fearing it, embrace it as a learning opportunity. When you stop seeing failure as a threat, you eliminate much of the stress and pressure that comes with it. This shift in mindset allows you to remain calm in the face of setbacks, knowing that they are part of the journey toward improvement. In challenging situations, remaining calm also involves recognizing and managing your inner dialogue. The thoughts you entertain have a direct impact on your emotional state. If your inner dialogue is filled with panic, negativity, or self-doubt, it's easy to spiral into anxiety. But by consciously choosing thoughts that are empowering and grounded in reason, you can steer your emotions toward calmness. Stoicism teaches you to become the master of your inner dialogue, ensuring that it supports your peace of mind rather than sabotages it. Another technique for staying calm is practicing emotional detachment. This doesn't mean becoming numb or indifferent to life's events, but rather developing the ability to experience emotions without being controlled by them. When you practice emotional detachment, you acknowledge your feelings without letting them dictate your actions. This creates a space between the emotion and the reaction, allowing you to respond with reason and calm rather than impulsiveness. This Stoic practice strengthens your ability to remain centered in any situation. Stoicism also encourages you to limit your exposure to negative influences. Just as certain environments can heighten stress, certain people or situations can fuel anxiety. By being mindful of the company you keep and the situations you engage in, you can protect your inner calm. Surrounding yourself with positivity and avoiding unnecessary drama creates an environment where calmness can thrive. This doesn't mean avoiding challenges, but it does mean being selective about what and who you allow into your mental and emotional space. Remaining calm also requires letting go of perfectionism. The Stoics teach that striving for perfection is a sure path to frustration and disappointment. Life is imperfect, and so are we. By embracing imperfection, you release the pressure to always get things right. This acceptance allows you to approach life with a more relaxed attitude, reducing the stress that comes from constantly trying to meet impossible standards. Calmness comes from knowing that mistakes and imperfections are part of the human experience. Another important Stoic strategy is practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness involves paying full attention to the present moment, without judgment or distraction. When you're fully present, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by stress or anxiety. Mindfulness helps you to focus on what's happening right now, rather than worrying about the past or future. This calm focus allows you to handle situations with clarity and poise, ensuring that your actions come from a place of thoughtfulness rather than emotional reactivity. Remaining calm also involves trusting in your own resilience. Life will inevitably throw challenges your way, but Stoicism teaches that you have the inner strength to handle whatever comes. By trusting in your ability to cope with difficulties, you eliminate much of the fear and anxiety that often accompany stressful situations. This confidence in your resilience allows you to approach life's challenges with a calm, steady mind, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the resources to manage it. Another strategy is to consciously slow down your reactions. When faced with a stressful situation, the instinct is often to react quickly without thinking. But Stoicism encourages you to slow down. By taking a moment to pause before responding, you allow your emotions to settle, giving yourself the opportunity to choose a calm, measured response. This deliberate slowing down of your reactions is a powerful way to maintain control over your emotions and ensure that you respond from a place of calm. Stoicism also teaches the value of letting go of the need for approval. So much of our stress and anxiety comes from seeking validation from others, whether it's in our work, relationships, or daily interactions. But the Stoic way is to focus on living in alignment with your own values, rather than constantly seeking approval. When you let go of the need for validation, you free yourself from the stress of trying to please everyone. This inner freedom brings a deep sense of calm, knowing that your worth isn't tied to others' opinions. Another technique for staying calm is practicing self-compassion. Stoicism teaches that just as we must show understanding and patience toward others, we must also extend that same kindness to ourselves. When you're too hard on yourself, you create unnecessary stress and tension. But by practicing self-compassion, you acknowledge your own humanity and give yourself permission to make mistakes. This gentle approach toward yourself fosters a sense of inner peace, making it easier to remain calm in the face of challenges. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of simplifying your life. Complexity often breeds stress, whether it's in our schedules, relationships, or thought patterns. By simplifying your life, cutting out unnecessary commitments, decluttering your space, and streamlining your priorities, you create room for calm to flourish. This simplicity helps you focus on what truly matters, reducing the distractions and chaos that can easily disrupt your peace of mind. Another Stoic strategy for remaining calm is embracing the unknown. Life is full of uncertainty, and trying to control every aspect of it only leads to frustration. But Stoicism teaches that the unknown is not something to be feared, it's an essential part of life. By accepting that you don't have all the answers and that some things are out of your control, you release the anxiety that comes with uncertainty. This acceptance allows you to remain calm, even when the future feels uncertain. Stoicism also teaches us to cultivate a mindset of curiosity. When faced with challenges, instead of reacting with stress or frustration, approach the situation with curiosity. What can you learn from this moment? How can it help you grow? This curious mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth, helping you remain calm and open-minded. By staying curious, you prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed, allowing calmness to take the lead. Another technique is focusing on the process rather than the outcome. Often, stress arises when we're fixated on achieving a specific result. But Stoicism reminds us that the process is where true growth happens. When you focus on doing your best in the moment, without obsessing over the end result, you remain calm and engaged. This shift in focus from outcome to process allows you to enjoy the journey, reducing the anxiety that comes from trying to control the final result. Remaining calm also involves recognizing the power of choice. In every situation, you have the choice of how to respond. Stoicism teaches that while you can't always control what happens, you can always control your reaction. This awareness of choice is incredibly empowering. It reminds you that calmness is always within your reach, no matter the circumstances. By choosing calmness over chaos, you take control of your emotional state, ensuring that you remain steady and composed. Another important strategy is practicing presence during conversations. In moments of conflict or disagreement, it's easy to get swept up in emotions and lose sight of the bigger picture. But by practicing presence, truly listening to the other person without interrupting or reacting, you create space for calm dialogue. This mindful approach to communication helps diffuse tension and ensures that your responses come from a place of understanding rather than defensiveness. Stoicism also teaches the importance of embracing vulnerability. Remaining calm doesn't mean being invulnerable. It means accepting that vulnerability is part of being human. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create space for authentic connection and growth. This openness allows you to approach life with calmness, knowing that you don't have to have all the answers or be perfect. Embracing vulnerability is a powerful way to maintain your inner calm, even in the face of uncertainty. Another Stoic strategy is practicing detachment from material possessions. So much of our stress and anxiety comes from attachment to things, whether it's money, status, or physical possessions. But Stoicism teaches that true calmness comes from within, not from external possessions. By practicing detachment, you free yourself from the fear of loss, allowing you to remain calm regardless of your external circumstances. Another key to staying calm is to embrace the idea of flow. Life is constantly changing, and trying to resist or control that flow only leads to stress. Stoicism teaches that by going with the flow, accepting change and adapting to new circumstances, you can maintain your calmness. This adaptability allows you to face life's challenges with flexibility and grace, ensuring that you remain steady no matter what comes your way. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of self-discipline. Calmness is not something that just happens. It's a skill that requires practice and effort. By developing self-discipline, you train your mind and body to respond calmly in stressful situations. This discipline helps you stay focused, grounded, and centered, even when life feels chaotic. With self-discipline, you build the foundation for lasting inner peace. Finally, Stoicism reminds us that calmness is a choice we make every day. It's not something that's dependent on external circumstances. It's a state of mind that you cultivate through intentional practice. By consistently applying these Stoic strategies, you strengthen your ability to remain calm in every situation, ensuring that you navigate life's challenges with grace, wisdom, and peace. Now that we've explored the ways to remain calm in every situation, it's time to delve into the heart of Stoic philosophy, using it to master your emotions and eliminate anger. Anger is a powerful force, capable of damaging relationships, clouding judgment, and stealing your peace. But Stoicism offers timeless wisdom that can help you not only manage, but completely transform your emotional responses. By mastering your emotions, you unlock the power to approach life with clarity and strength. Let's look deeper into how this philosophy can be applied to eliminate anger and cultivate lasting emotional control. One of the fundamental teachings of Stoicism is that emotions do not control us unless we let them. Anger, like all emotions, starts in the mind. It is born from the way we interpret events, not from the events themselves. When you begin to see anger as a choice, something you can accept or reject, you take the first step toward mastery over it. This shift in understanding places the power back in your hands, allowing you to see that anger is not an inevitable reaction, but a habit of thinking that can be changed. To further master your emotions, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of living according to reason. Anger is often fueled by irrational thoughts, by our mind exaggerating threats or insults. When you engage your reason, you dismantle the irrationality behind the emotion. Ask yourself, what is the real impact of this situation? Or, is this worth the energy of my anger? These simple questions activate your logical mind and weaken the grip that anger has on you. This reasoning serves as an anchor in turbulent emotional moments, keeping you grounded. Another key principle of Stoicism is focusing on what you can control. Anger frequently arises from frustration over things that are beyond our influence, whether it's the actions of others, unforeseen obstacles, or even the weather. But Stoicism teaches that your emotions are within your control, even if the situation is not. By shifting your focus away from what you can't control and instead concentrating on your response, you stop feeding the cycle of anger. This mental discipline frees you from the frustration that so often fuels emotional outbursts. Stoicism also reminds us that perspective plays a huge role in how we experience emotions. Anger often flares when we view situations through a narrow personal lens, when we take things too seriously or too personally. But the Stoics encourage a broader perspective. Step back from the situation and ask yourself, how significant will this be in the grand scheme of things? When you realize that many of the events that trigger anger are fleeting and insignificant in the larger context of life, the emotion begins to lose its intensity. This shift in perspective creates space for calm to replace anger. In Stoicism, the practice of acceptance is another vital tool for mastering emotions. Many times, anger is rooted in a refusal to accept what has happened. We resist reality because it doesn't align with our desires or expectations. But Stoicism teaches that peace comes from accepting things as they are, not as we wish them to be. When you practice acceptance, you stop fighting against reality, and in doing so, you eliminate much of the anger that comes from unmet expectations. Acceptance opens the door to emotional freedom. In addition to acceptance, another critical aspect of mastering emotions is letting go of attachment to outcomes. Anger often arises when we become too attached to a particular result, believing that our happiness depends on things turning out a certain way. But Stoicism teaches that true contentment comes from within, not from external circumstances. By releasing your attachment to specific outcomes, you free yourself from the frustration and anger that accompany disappointment. This detachment allows you to remain emotionally balanced, no matter the situation. Practicing empathy is another Stoic strategy for mastering emotions. Anger toward others often stems from misunderstanding or a lack of perspective. Stoicism encourages you to consider the challenges, emotions, and motivations of others before reacting with anger. When you make an effort to understand where someone is coming from, it becomes easier to replace anger with compassion. Empathy shifts your focus away from your emotional reaction and toward understanding, making it harder for anger to take root. One of the most powerful Stoic practices for managing emotions is self-awareness. Anger doesn't suddenly explode. It builds gradually, often without us even noticing. By cultivating self-awareness, you become attuned to the early signs of rising emotion, whether it's a quickening pulse, a flash of irritation, or tension in your body. This awareness gives you the chance to intervene before the emotion fully takes over. With practice, you learn to pause, assess the situation, and choose a calm response instead of letting the emotion control you. Another Stoic technique is the practice of self-reflection. At the end of each day, take time to reflect on your emotional responses, especially moments where anger surfaced. What triggered it? How did you react? Could you have responded differently? By reflecting on these moments, you gain insight into your emotional patterns and can begin to adjust your behavior moving forward. This process of reflection helps you grow more emotionally resilient over time, making it easier to stay composed in future challenges. Mastering your emotions also involves the conscious choice to forgive, both others and yourself. Anger often festers when we hold on to grudges or refuse to let go of past wrongs. But Stoicism teaches that holding on to anger only harms you. By practicing forgiveness, you release the emotional burden that anger creates. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior, but about freeing yourself from the destructive cycle of resentment. It is an act of self-liberation, allowing you to move forward with peace rather than bitterness. Another key to mastering emotions through Stoicism is understanding that anger is often based on unrealistic expectations. We expect people to behave a certain way, for life to go smoothly, or for things to unfold according to our plans. When these expectations aren't met, frustration builds. Stoicism teaches you to adjust your expectations to align with reality. By accepting that people are imperfect, that setbacks are inevitable, and that life is unpredictable, you eliminate much of the frustration that leads to anger. A powerful Stoic practice for managing emotions is the use of mental rehearsals. Before facing a potentially stressful situation, mentally prepare yourself for what could go wrong. This isn't about being pessimistic. It's about preparing your mind for the challenges ahead. By anticipating difficulties, you reduce the shock and emotional reaction when things don't go as planned. This mental preparation strengthens your emotional control and allows you to face setbacks with greater calm and resilience. Another technique is embracing discomfort rather than resisting it. Anger often arises when we encounter discomfort or frustration, but Stoicism teaches that discomfort is a natural part of life, and that by embracing it, rather than avoiding it, we build emotional strength. When you stop fearing discomfort and see it as an opportunity to grow, you reduce the likelihood of anger taking over. This acceptance of life's challenges helps you navigate difficult situations with calm and composure. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of practicing patience. Anger frequently arises when we want things to happen on our schedule and life doesn't cooperate. By cultivating patience, you learn to accept that everything unfolds in its own time. This mindset reduces the stress and frustration that come from trying to force outcomes. Patience allows you to approach life's delays and setbacks with a sense of calm, knowing that you have the strength to wait without losing your peace. In mastering emotions, another important Stoic lesson is recognizing that not everything is personal. We often take offense or feel disrespected because we believe that others' actions are directed at us personally. But Stoicism teaches that most of the time, people's behavior is a reflection of their own struggles, not a personal attack. By learning to detach from the idea that everything is about you, you can avoid the emotional turmoil that comes from taking things too personally. Stoicism also encourages the development of resilience in the face of adversity. Emotional mastery doesn't mean avoiding challenges. It means strengthening yourself to handle them with grace. By viewing obstacles as opportunities to build resilience, you change your relationship with difficulty. Instead of reacting with frustration or anger, you approach challenges as a chance to grow stronger. This mindset shift transforms how you experience hardships, helping you remain calm and composed even in the face of significant stress. Another powerful Stoic strategy for mastering emotions is the practice of journaling. Writing down your thoughts, feelings, and reactions allows you to process your emotions in a constructive way. By putting your feelings into words, you gain clarity on what's really driving them and can work through difficult emotions like anger without letting them control your actions. Journaling is a form of emotional release that helps you reflect, grow, and maintain emotional balance. Stoicism also teaches the importance of mindfulness, being fully present in the moment. Anger often arises when we're caught up in past grievances or future worries. But by grounding yourself in the present, you prevent these external distractions from fueling your emotional reactions. Mindfulness helps you stay centered, allowing you to respond to situations as they are, rather than through the lens of past experiences or imagined outcomes. This practice is essential for maintaining emotional control and avoiding unnecessary anger. Another Stoic approach to mastering emotions is developing self-discipline. Emotional mastery requires ongoing effort and commitment. By practicing self-discipline, you train yourself to respond to life's challenges with composure rather than letting emotions dictate your actions. Self-discipline strengthens your ability to pause before reacting, to choose thoughtful responses over impulsive ones, and to stay calm even when things feel out of control. This discipline creates a solid foundation for emotional mastery. In addition to self-discipline, another Stoic principle is the cultivation of inner peace. Stoicism teaches that true peace comes not from external circumstances, but from within. By prioritizing your inner calm over external validation or success, you become less affected by life's ups and downs. This internal focus gives you the strength to remain emotionally balanced, even when the world around you is chaotic. It's a reminder that peace is something you create, not something you find. Stoicism also teaches us that emotions, like anger, are temporary. When anger arises, it can feel all-encompassing, as though it will never pass. But Stoicism reminds us that emotions are fleeting. They come and go. By recognizing the temporary nature of anger, you can avoid being swept up in it. This understanding allows you to wait out the emotion, knowing that it will eventually fade, and you can respond with clarity rather than impulsiveness. Another essential Stoic strategy is the practice of reframing. When faced with a difficult situation that triggers anger, consciously choose to view it differently. Instead of seeing the challenge as something negative, reframe it as an opportunity to practice patience, resilience, or understanding. This mental shift transforms how you experience the situation and reduces the intensity of the emotion. Reframing gives you the power to turn what could be a source of anger into a moment of growth. Stoicism also teaches the value of humility. Anger often stems from pride, when our ego is bruised or when things don't go the way we wanted. But by embracing humility, you reduce the hold that anger has on you. Humility reminds you that you are not the center of the universe, that setbacks are a part of life, and that others' actions are not always a reflection of your worth. This humble mindset allows you to approach life's challenges with grace and patience rather than with anger. Another technique is to practice emotional detachment from outcomes. Often, anger arises when we are overly invested in a particular result. But Stoicism teaches that outcomes are never fully within our control. By detaching from the need for specific results, you free yourself from the frustration and disappointment that can lead to anger. Emotional detachment allows you to approach life with a sense of calm, knowing that your well-being doesn't depend on external events, but on your inner response. Stoicism also teaches the power of forgiveness, not just toward others, but toward yourself. When you hold on to anger, whether it's directed at someone else or yourself, it becomes a burden that weighs you down. By practicing forgiveness, you release that burden and create space for peace. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful actions. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of anger. This act of letting go is a powerful step toward mastering your emotions. Another key to emotional mastery is developing gratitude. Anger often arises when we focus on what's lacking or what's going wrong in our lives. But Stoicism teaches the importance of shifting your attention to what you already have. Gratitude reminds you of the abundance in your life, no matter how challenging the moment may be. By cultivating gratitude, you reduce the emotional charge of anger and replace it with appreciation and contentment. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of embracing imperfection, both in yourself and in others. Anger frequently stems from a desire for perfection, whether it's in situations, people, or even ourselves. But Stoicism reminds us that imperfection is an inherent part of life. By accepting the flaws in yourself, others, and the world around you, you let go of the frustration that comes from unmet ideals. This acceptance brings emotional peace and allows you to navigate life with greater ease. Another essential Stoic practice for mastering emotions is learning to focus on solutions, not problems. Anger keeps you stuck in the problem, rehashing what went wrong and why. But by shifting your focus to finding solutions, you break free from the emotional cycle of frustration. This proactive mindset not only reduces anger, but also helps you move forward with clarity and purpose. Focusing on solutions empowers you to take action rather than being consumed by emotion. Finally, Stoicism teaches that mastering your emotions is not about suppressing or ignoring them, but about understanding and transforming them. Emotions like anger are part of the human experience, but they don't have to control you. By using Stoic principles, you learn to harness the energy of your emotions, directing them toward constructive action rather than destructive outbursts. This emotional mastery is the key to living a life of peace, strength, and resilience, no matter what challenges you face. Having explored how Stoicism helps master emotions and eliminate anger, it's time to examine a fundamental Stoic belief. Anger is a choice. This may sound surprising because anger often feels automatic, like something that happens to us. But the Stoics teach that anger doesn't control us unless we allow it to. In every moment, we have the power to choose how we respond, even when provoked. By applying Stoic techniques, you can remain cool and collected in the face of frustration. Let's dive into how anger is a choice and how Stoicism can empower you to make the right one every time. The first key to understanding why anger is a choice lies in recognizing that it begins in your mind. Before any outburst or reaction, there is a moment where your mind interprets an event as upsetting or offensive. This interpretation is where the choice happens. When you learn to catch this thought and question it, you open up a space to choose a different response. Instead of letting anger rise unchecked, you can challenge whether the situation is truly worth that emotional energy. This moment of reflection gives you the power to shift from automatic reaction to conscious choice. Stoicism teaches that no external event can force you to feel a certain way. It's your judgment of the event that triggers emotions like anger. By changing how you judge and perceive a situation, you take control of your emotional responses. For example, someone cutting you off in traffic doesn't inherently make you angry. It's the belief that this act is disrespectful or personal that sparks anger. But what if you choose to see it differently? Maybe the other driver is distracted or in a hurry for reasons beyond your knowledge. By choosing a more understanding perspective, you diffuse the anger before it takes hold. Another important Stoic technique for staying cool is to separate the event from the emotion. The Stoics remind us that we are not defined by our feelings. Anger is simply a reaction that arises based on our interpretation of events. It's not something you have to act on. You can acknowledge the emotion without letting it dictate your actions. By seeing anger as a temporary state rather than an essential part of who you are, you weaken its hold over you. This ability to step back from your emotions allows you to choose a more measured, thoughtful response. Stoicism also teaches the importance of emotional resilience. Life will inevitably bring challenges, frustrations, and disappointments. But how you respond to those challenges is entirely within your control. When you practice emotional resilience, you train yourself to remain steady and calm, even when things don't go your way. Resilience is about recognizing that while you can't control every outcome, you can always control your attitude and actions. By choosing resilience over frustration, you maintain your inner peace regardless of external circumstances. Another powerful technique to stay collected is reframing the situation. When anger begins to rise, ask yourself whether this situation is truly worth the emotional cost. Often, the things that make us angry are relatively insignificant in the larger scheme of life. Reframing helps you see the situation from a different angle, one that is less emotionally charged. By shifting your perspective, you choose to focus on what matters most rather than letting minor irritations disturb your peace. Stoicism emphasizes the value of practicing indifference to things outside your control. Anger frequently stems from wanting the world to conform to your expectations, but the Stoics teach that the universe doesn't operate according to our personal desires. When you practice indifference to external events, whether it's other people's actions, unexpected delays, or unpredictable circumstances, you free yourself from the emotional turmoil that comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. This indifference is not about apathy, but about focusing your energy on what you can influence, your response. Self-restraint is another essential Stoic practice for choosing calm over anger. When anger arises, the temptation is often to lash out or react immediately. But Stoicism teaches the power of restraint, holding back from reacting in the heat of the moment. By giving yourself a moment to pause, you allow the intensity of the emotion to subside. This pause creates space for reason to take over, helping you choose a response that aligns with your values rather than a reaction driven by raw emotion. Self-restraint strengthens your ability to remain composed even in stressful situations. Another powerful way to understand that anger is a choice is through the concept of freedom. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from mastering yourself, your thoughts, emotions, and actions. When you let anger dictate your behavior, you are not truly free. You are a slave to your emotions. But by choosing to stay calm and collected, you assert your freedom over external circumstances. This mindset reminds you that no matter what happens around you, you always have the freedom to choose how you respond. Stoicism also teaches that anger often arises from unmet expectations. We expect people to behave a certain way, or for life to unfold according to our plans. When those expectations aren't met, frustration builds. But Stoicism encourages us to adjust our expectations, recognizing that people are imperfect and life is unpredictable. By lowering your expectations, you reduce the likelihood of anger taking over. Instead, you become more adaptable, accepting things as they are, rather than becoming upset when they don't match your ideal. Another key Stoic principle is understanding that anger can be self-destructive. The Stoics often described anger as a fire that consumes the one who holds it. When you hold on to anger, it doesn't harm the other person or change the situation, it only burns you. By recognizing the destructive nature of anger, you are more motivated to let it go. Choosing calmness over anger is not just about avoiding conflict, it's about protecting your own peace of mind. This awareness empowers you to release anger before it takes a toll on your well-being. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of rational thinking in emotional control. Anger is often fueled by irrational thoughts, believing that the world is against you or that someone's actions are a direct attack. But when you engage your rational mind, you can challenge these thoughts and see the situation more clearly. Is this really a personal affront, or is it just an inconvenience? Rational thinking allows you to separate fact from emotion, giving you the clarity to choose a calm response rather than an impulsive reaction. In addition to rational thinking, another Stoic technique for managing anger is practicing compassion. When someone's actions trigger your anger, it's easy to react with judgment or hostility. But Stoicism encourages you to consider the other person's perspective. What might they be going through? What challenges are they facing that led them to act this way? By practicing compassion, you soften your emotional response, making it easier to stay calm. Compassion helps you see the humanity in others, which reduces the likelihood of anger taking root. Stoicism also reminds us that anger often comes from taking things too personally. We interpret other people's actions as deliberate offenses, when in reality they may not have been directed at us at all. By learning not to take things personally, you reduce the emotional charge of the situation. The Stoics teach that most people are focused on their own lives and struggles, not on hurting or offending others. When you stop personalizing events, you free yourself from the emotional baggage that often leads to anger. Another important aspect of choosing calmness over anger is practicing self-compassion. Anger toward yourself, whether from mistakes, failures, or unmet expectations, can be just as damaging as anger toward others. Stoicism teaches that self-compassion is essential for emotional balance. By acknowledging your imperfections and treating yourself with kindness, you let go of the harsh self-criticism that fuels internal anger. Self-compassion allows you to move forward with grace, focusing on growth rather than dwelling on past mistakes. A vital Stoic technique for staying cool is focusing on the present moment. Anger often arises when we're caught up in past grievances or future worries. But the present moment is where life happens, and Stoicism teaches that by grounding yourself in the here and now, you can prevent anger from taking over. When you focus on what's happening right in front of you, without bringing in past hurts or future anxieties, you are more able to respond with clarity and calmness. Another key Stoic practice is regularly reflecting on your emotional responses. At the end of each day, take time to reflect on moments where anger arose. What triggered it? How did you handle it? Could you have made a different choice? By reflecting on these moments, you gain insight into your emotional patterns and can begin to adjust your responses moving forward. This self-reflection helps you become more mindful of your choices, ensuring that each day you're better equipped to stay calm in challenging situations. Stoicism also teaches the importance of letting go of the need to be right. Anger often flares when we feel that someone has wronged us or when we're in a conflict where we want to prove our point. But the need to be right can fuel unnecessary conflict and prolong anger. By letting go of this need, you free yourself from the emotional attachment to winning or being validated. Instead, you focus on maintaining peace, which is far more valuable than winning any argument. In mastering anger as a choice, Stoicism also emphasizes the power of humility. Anger frequently stems from wounded pride, from feeling disrespected or undervalued. But humility reminds us that we are all human, all flawed, and that no one is immune to making mistakes. By practicing humility, you let go of the ego-driven need to defend your pride, which reduces the likelihood of reacting with anger. Humility creates space for understanding and patience, making it easier to stay composed in difficult moments. Another Stoic technique for staying collected is practicing acceptance of imperfection. Whether it's in people, situations, or even yourself, perfection is an unrealistic expectation that often leads to frustration. Stoicism teaches that life is inherently imperfect, and by accepting this reality, you reduce the frustration that comes from unmet expectations. This acceptance allows you to approach life with a sense of peace, knowing that imperfections are part of the journey and don't need to trigger anger. Stoicism also encourages the practice of detaching from outcomes. Anger often arises when things don't go as planned, but the Stoics remind us that we don't control the outcome, only our efforts. By focusing on doing your best, regardless of the result, you free yourself from the emotional turbulence that comes with disappointment. This detachment helps you maintain calm and clarity, knowing that your peace of mind isn't dependent on external events, but on your inner state. Another vital technique for emotional control is learning to let go of the past. Anger frequently stems from old wounds, past hurts, betrayals, or failures that continue to linger. Stoicism teaches that the past is beyond your control and that holding on to it only prolongs your suffering. By releasing the past, you free yourself from the emotional weight that fuels anger. Letting go allows you to fully embrace the present moment, where peace and calmness reside. A powerful Stoic principle for staying cool is recognizing that anger rarely leads to positive outcomes. When you react with anger, you often make decisions that you later regret. Whether it's saying something hurtful or making a rash choice, anger clouds your judgment. By remembering that anger is a poor guide, you're more motivated to choose calmness instead. This awareness helps you pause before reacting, ensuring that your actions align with your long-term values rather than short-term emotions. Another key to emotional mastery is practicing gratitude in difficult moments. Anger often arises when we focus on what's going wrong, but gratitude shifts your attention to what's going right. Even in challenging situations, there is always something to be grateful for. By practicing gratitude, you soften the emotional intensity of the moment, making it easier to stay calm and collected. Gratitude creates a buffer between you and the situation, allowing you to approach it with a clear mind and open heart. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of cultivating inner peace. True calmness doesn't come from external circumstances, it comes from within. By prioritizing your inner peace, you create a foundation that is unshakable, even in the face of adversity. This inner peace is something you cultivate through daily practice, by choosing to let go of anger, resentment, and frustration. It's a reminder that calmness is a choice you make, one that protects your well-being and ensures that you remain collected no matter what life throws your way. Finally, Stoicism teaches that anger is not an inevitable response. It's a habit of thought that can be changed. By consistently applying these techniques, you train your mind to choose calmness over anger, reason over impulsivity, and peace over conflict. With practice, this choice becomes second nature, allowing you to navigate life with grace, wisdom, and emotional balance. Stoicism reminds you that in every moment, you have the power to choose how you respond. Choosing calmness is choosing freedom, and that choice is always yours to make. As we've just explored how anger is a choice, the next step is understanding how you can apply Stoic wisdom to overcome anger instantly. While it might seem like anger can take control of us in a flash, the truth is that with the right techniques, you can break free from its grip just as quickly. Stoicism offers practical tools that allow you to respond to frustration, irritation, and provocation with calm and clarity in the very moment that anger begins to rise. Now, let's dive into how these timeless principles can help you regain control of your emotions and eliminate anger instantly. One of the most effective Stoic techniques for overcoming anger instantly is the practice of pausing. Anger thrives on impulsive reactions, feeding off the heat of the moment. By pausing, you interrupt this process and create space for a more measured response. Even just a few seconds of stillness can be enough to cool the initial rush of emotion, giving you the chance to regain your composure. This simple act of taking a breath before speaking or acting allows you to step away from the instinctive response of anger and choose a more thoughtful reaction. Another crucial tool in Stoicism is the ability to distance yourself from your emotions. Stoicism teaches that while emotions arise naturally, you are not your emotions. They are passing states, not permanent fixtures of your identity. By viewing anger as something separate from yourself, you weaken its hold. This detachment allows you to observe the anger without becoming consumed by it. In the moment of frustration, remind yourself that this emotion is temporary and does not define you. This mental shift creates enough distance to help you regain control. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of focusing on the present moment. Anger often arises from dwelling on past grievances or anticipating future problems. But when you bring your attention fully to the present, you strip anger of its fuel. The present moment is rarely as overwhelming as the stories we tell ourselves about it. By grounding yourself in what is happening right now, you reduce the emotional charge of the situation. This focus on the here and now is a powerful way to cut through the intensity of anger and return to a state of calm. One of the most empowering Stoic principles is understanding that you always have control over your response. No matter what happens, no matter how provoked you feel, you have the ability to choose how you react. When you remind yourself of this power, anger loses its force. You're no longer a victim to external circumstances. You are in control. This shift in mindset is immediate and transformative. By reclaiming your power in the moment, you prevent anger from dictating your actions and instead respond with reason and calmness. Another key Stoic practice for overcoming anger quickly is the use of rational thinking. Anger thrives on exaggerated thoughts, beliefs that something is far worse than it really is. But when you challenge these thoughts with reason, the emotion begins to lose its grip. Ask yourself, is this situation as bad as my mind is making it out to be? What's the worst that could actually happen? By engaging your rational mind, you reduce the intensity of your emotional reaction, allowing you to see the situation more clearly and respond more calmly. Stoicism also teaches the importance of recognizing the impermanence of emotions. Anger may feel overwhelming in the moment, but it's always fleeting. No emotion lasts forever, and this includes anger. By remembering that the emotion will pass, you create space to wait it out rather than acting on it impulsively. This awareness helps you maintain your composure, knowing that if you give it time, the intensity of the anger will subside on its own. This patience is key to overcoming anger instantly, as it allows you to respond from a place of calm instead of reacting in the heat of the moment. Another powerful technique in Stoicism is the practice of reframing the situation. When anger arises, it's often because we view the situation in a way that triggers emotional pain or frustration. But by consciously choosing to see it differently, you change your emotional response. Instead of seeing a rude comment as a personal attack, reframe it as a reflection of the other person's struggles or insecurities. This shift in perspective instantly reduces the emotional charge and makes it easier to stay calm. Reframing is a tool that gives you immediate control over how you experience the moment. Stoicism also emphasizes the value of compassion, both for yourself and others. When someone's actions provoke your anger, it's easy to react with judgment or frustration. But Stoicism teaches that everyone is carrying their own burdens, often unseen. By practicing compassion, you soften your emotional response. Instead of reacting with anger, you can respond with understanding, recognizing that the other person may be struggling. This compassionate mindset helps you let go of anger quickly, replacing it with patience and empathy. Another effective Stoic strategy is to lower your expectations. Anger often arises when reality doesn't meet our expectations, whether it's people's behavior or how events unfold. But by adjusting your expectations to align with the imperfections of life, you reduce the chances of being disappointed or frustrated. Lowering your expectations doesn't mean settling for less. It means accepting that life is unpredictable and people are flawed. This acceptance helps you remain calm when things don't go as planned, instantly reducing the emotional intensity of the situation. In moments of anger, Stoicism also encourages you to question whether the situation truly deserves your energy. Ask yourself, is this really worth my peace of mind? Is it worth carrying this anger with me? Often, when you pause to reflect on the true importance of the situation, you'll find that it's not nearly as significant as it feels in the moment. This perspective helps you let go of the anger quickly, choosing to preserve your peace, rather than invest in an emotion that doesn't serve you. Another key Stoic practice is reminding yourself that you can't control other people, only your reaction to them. Anger often arises from wanting to change or control others, whether it's their behavior, opinions, or actions. But Stoicism teaches that trying to control others is futile and only leads to frustration. By accepting that you can't change someone else, you shift your focus to what you can control, your response. This shift in focus empowers you to let go of the anger and handle the situation with calm and clarity. Stoicism also highlights the importance of not taking things personally. When someone's actions trigger anger, it's easy to interpret them as a personal attack. But Stoicism teaches that most people's behavior is a reflection of their own inner world, not a direct assault on you. By reminding yourself that their actions are about them, not you, you create emotional distance from the situation. This detachment allows you to release the anger quickly and respond with greater understanding. Another powerful Stoic technique is to visualize the situation from a higher perspective. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to get caught up in the details and emotions of the situation. But by mentally zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, you gain a new sense of clarity. Will this moment matter in the grand scheme of your life? Does this conflict really deserve your emotional energy? This perspective shift helps you see beyond the immediate frustration and recognize the insignificance of many triggers, allowing you to let go of the anger and remain calm. Stoicism also encourages the practice of mental rehearsal. Before entering situations where you know anger might arise, mentally prepare yourself for potential triggers. Visualize how you will respond with calmness and composure. This mental preparation helps you build emotional resilience, making it easier to apply Stoic techniques in the moment. When the situation arises, you're already equipped with a plan, which helps you overcome anger quickly and stay grounded in your response. Another technique for overcoming anger instantly is practicing gratitude in the moment. When frustration or irritation begins to rise, shift your focus to something you're grateful for. Gratitude has a powerful way of neutralizing negative emotions by redirecting your attention to the positive aspects of life. Even in difficult situations, there is always something to appreciate. By focusing on what you're thankful for, you quickly dissolve the emotional intensity of anger and replace it with a sense of calm and contentment. In Stoicism, the concept of focusing on what is within your control is crucial for managing emotions. Anger often arises from trying to control things that are beyond your influence, whether it's someone else's behavior or an unforeseen event. But Stoicism teaches that true control lies in your thoughts, actions, and responses. By redirecting your energy to what you can control, you take back your power from the situation and regain your emotional balance. This shift in focus helps you eliminate anger instantly, as you recognize that peace of mind comes from mastering your own reactions, not the external world. Stoicism also teaches the importance of accepting life's imperfections. Anger frequently stems from the belief that things should go a certain way, and when they don't, frustration takes over. But Stoicism reminds us that life is inherently unpredictable and imperfect. By accepting this truth, you reduce the frustration that comes from unmet expectations. This acceptance allows you to handle life's surprises with greater calmness, letting go of the need for things to be perfect and embracing them as they are. Another key Stoic practice is focusing on solutions rather than problems. When anger arises, it's often because we're fixated on what's wrong. But by shifting your focus to finding solutions, you move away from the emotional reaction and toward constructive action. This mindset shift instantly reduces the emotional charge of the situation, as you're no longer dwelling on the problem, but actively seeking ways to improve it. Solution-focused thinking not only helps you overcome anger quickly, but also leads to more effective and positive outcomes. Stoicism also teaches the value of inner peace as the foundation for overcoming anger. When you prioritize maintaining your inner calm, external circumstances have less power to disturb you. This commitment to peace helps you navigate life's challenges with greater emotional resilience. By keeping your inner peace as your highest priority, you're less likely to let anger take hold, and when it does, you can release it quickly, knowing that your peace is more valuable than any temporary frustration. Another powerful technique is the practice of forgiveness. Whether it's forgiving others or yourself, holding on to anger only prolongs emotional suffering. Stoicism teaches that forgiveness is an act of self-liberation, freeing you from the burden of resentment. By choosing to forgive in the moment, you let go of the anger instantly, creating space for healing and peace. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior, but about releasing the emotional weight that holds you back from moving forward with calmness and clarity. Another essential Stoic strategy is practicing self-compassion. Anger toward yourself, whether from mistakes, failures, or unmet expectations, can be just as damaging as anger toward others. Stoicism teaches that self-compassion is essential for emotional balance. By acknowledging your imperfections and treating yourself with kindness, you let go of the harsh self-criticism that fuels internal anger. Self-compassion allows you to move forward with grace, focusing on growth rather than dwelling on past mistakes. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of simplifying your thoughts. When anger begins to rise, the mind often becomes cluttered with 1,000 worries, fears, and judgments. But Stoicism teaches the value of stripping away the unnecessary and focusing on what truly matters. By simplifying your thoughts, you create mental space for calm to flourish. This practice helps you clear away the distractions and zero in on the most important aspects of the situation, allowing you to respond from a place of clarity and calmness. Another effective Stoic technique for overcoming anger instantly is practicing patience. Anger often flares up when we're in a rush, whether it's rushing to meet deadlines, expectations, or personal goals. But Stoicism teaches that patience is a virtue that can transform how you experience challenges. By cultivating patience, you reduce the urgency and pressure that often fuel frustration. This calm, patient approach allows you to handle life's delays and setbacks with a sense of peace, preventing anger from taking root. In moments of frustration, Stoicism encourages you to ask yourself, what is the bigger picture? Often, anger narrows our focus, making it hard to see beyond the immediate irritation. But by stepping back and considering the larger context of your life, you can gain perspective. Will this moment matter in the grand scheme of things? Does it truly deserve your emotional energy? This shift in focus helps you let go of the anger quickly, choosing to invest your energy in what truly matters. Another powerful Stoic principle is learning to accept discomfort. Anger often arises when we encounter discomfort or inconvenience. But Stoicism teaches that discomfort is a natural part of life, and by accepting it rather than resisting it, you reduce its emotional impact. When you stop fearing discomfort and see it as an opportunity for growth, you prevent anger from taking hold. This acceptance allows you to navigate difficult situations with calmness and resilience, knowing that discomfort is temporary and manageable. Stoicism also highlights the importance of regular reflection on your emotional responses. By taking time each day to reflect on how you handled moments of anger or frustration, you gain valuable insight into your emotional patterns. This practice helps you identify triggers and recognize where you can improve in the future. The more you reflect, the more equipped you are to overcome anger instantly, as you become more aware of your choices and responses in each moment. Another key Stoic technique is to focus on what you can learn from the situation. Anger often blinds us to the lessons hidden within challenges, but Stoicism encourages you to view every difficulty as an opportunity for growth. By shifting your mindset from frustration to curiosity, you transform how you experience setbacks. What can this situation teach you about yourself, your relationships, or your goals? This learning-focused mindset helps you let go of the anger and approach the moment with openness and calmness. Stoicism also teaches that anger often stems from an inflated sense of self-importance. When we take ourselves too seriously, every slight or inconvenience feels personal. But by practicing humility, you reduce the emotional charge of the situation. Humility reminds you that the world doesn't revolve around you and that others' actions are often not about you at all. This shift in perspective helps you release the anger quickly, choosing calmness over defensiveness. Finally, Stoicism reminds us that overcoming anger instantly is a practice that requires patience and consistency. By applying these principles regularly, you strengthen your emotional resilience and cultivate a state of calm that becomes second nature. Each time you choose calmness over anger, you reinforce your ability to stay grounded in any situation. With time and dedication, you can transform your relationship with anger, making peace and clarity your default responses, no matter what life throws your way. As we've explored how to apply Stoic wisdom to overcome anger instantly, the next important lesson from Stoicism is understanding why anger is self-destructive. Stoics believed that while anger feels powerful in the moment, It often harms us more than it helps. It clouds judgment, damages relationships, and robs us of inner peace. The more you allow anger to dominate, the more you feed a cycle of harm that spirals out of control. Now, let's explore why Stoics warn against the destructive nature of anger and the practical ways they offer to avoid falling into its trap. One of the reasons Stoics consider anger self-destructive is because it distorts your perception of reality. When you're angry, your view of the situation becomes narrow, and you're more likely to misinterpret intentions or exaggerate problems. This emotional lens leads you to make decisions based on incomplete or faulty information. The result? You end up reacting to a situation that may not even exist the way you perceive it. Anger, therefore, blinds you to the truth, making your responses less effective and often harmful to both yourself and others. Another way anger harms you is through its physical toll. Anger triggers a stress response in the body. Your heart races, muscles tense, and your breathing quickens. While these reactions might be useful in a true emergency, they can cause long-term harm when experienced regularly. Chronic anger can lead to high blood pressure, weakened immunity, and even heart disease. In this sense, anger literally eats away at your health. The Stoics understood that preserving your physical well-being is tied to controlling your emotions, making anger not just emotionally, but physically destructive. Anger also destroys relationships. When you lash out in anger, you often say or do things that you later regret. These actions can create rifts that are difficult, if not impossible, to repair. People may forgive, but the emotional scars of harsh words or actions linger. Stoicism teaches that harmony with others is one of the key elements of a good life, and anger erodes this harmony. The more anger you allow into your interactions, the more isolated and disconnected you become. This self-inflicted alienation is one of the most destructive aspects of anger. Another way anger is self-destructive is in how it weakens your self-control. The Stoics valued self-mastery above all else, believing that true freedom comes from controlling your own mind and reactions. Anger undermines this control, making you a slave to your emotions. When you let anger dictate your actions, you lose the ability to respond with reason and clarity. Over time, this habit of giving in to anger erodes your confidence in your own ability to stay composed, creating a cycle where each outburst of anger makes the next one more likely. Anger also blinds you to opportunities. In the heat of anger, you focus only on what's wrong, which prevents you from seeing potential solutions or new paths forward. This tunnel vision limits your ability to be creative and resourceful in problem solving. Stoicism teaches that life is full of opportunities, even in difficult moments, but anger keeps you from recognizing them. By staying calm, you maintain the flexibility to adapt and find ways to improve the situation rather than being stuck in a cycle of frustration. Another destructive aspect of anger is how it poisons your inner dialogue. When anger takes over, your mind becomes consumed with negative thoughts, replaying grievances, imagining worst-case scenarios, and fueling resentment. This inner turmoil not only keeps the anger alive, but also affects your overall mindset, making you more prone to anxiety and stress. Stoicism teaches that the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life, and anger brings toxicity into your mental space, eroding your peace and well-being. Anger also harms your reputation. When people see you frequently losing your temper, they may begin to view you as unpredictable or difficult to work with. Over time, this can damage your personal and professional relationships. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of consistency in character, and anger disrupts this consistency. People may start to avoid you or feel uneasy around you, which isolates you further and creates unnecessary barriers in your interactions. This reputation for anger can take a long time to heal, and the consequences of one outburst can ripple out far beyond the moment. Another way anger is self-destructive is in how it narrows your focus to blame. When you're angry, your mind often fixates on who or what caused the problem. But this fixation prevents you from taking responsibility for your own part in the situation and limits your ability to move forward constructively. Blame may provide temporary satisfaction, but it keeps you trapped in a victim mentality. Stoicism teaches that growth comes from self-reflection and taking responsibility, both of which are difficult to do when anger drives your thoughts. Anger can also lead to impulsive decisions, ones that you might regret later. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to act on emotion without fully considering the consequences. Whether it's sending a harsh message, quitting a job, or ending a relationship, decisions made in anger are often not well thought out. These rash actions can lead to long-term problems that are much harder to undo. Stoicism encourages you to pause and reflect before acting, knowing that calm, rational decisions lead to better outcomes. Another way anger is destructive is in how it distorts your sense of justice. Anger often comes from a desire for things to be fair, but it warps your ability to judge what fairness really is. When you're angry, you may overreact to a minor offense or demand more than what is reasonable in response to a perceived wrong. This skewed sense of justice leads to disproportionate reactions that can cause unnecessary harm. The Stoics teach that real justice is rooted in wisdom and moderation, both of which are compromised when anger takes over. Stoicism also highlights that anger isolates you from your own values. When you act in anger, you often go against the principles you hold dear, whether it's kindness, patience, or understanding. After the anger subsides, you may feel ashamed or regretful because you didn't live up to your own standards. This internal conflict creates a sense of guilt and self-judgment that erodes your self-esteem. The Stoics believe that living in alignment with your values is essential to a fulfilling life, and anger pulls you away from that path. Another self-destructive aspect of anger is how it creates enemies where there were none. When you react with anger, even people who weren't involved in the conflict may be drawn into the drama. Anger spreads tension and conflict, often escalating a situation beyond what it originally was. Stoicism teaches that peace and cooperation are far more valuable than winning arguments or asserting dominance. By staying calm, you avoid creating unnecessary divisions and maintain stronger, more harmonious relationships. Anger also leads to self-sabotage. In moments of anger, you might undermine your own goals and desires simply because you're focused on expressing the emotion. Whether it's losing your temper in a professional setting or damaging a personal relationship, the actions you take in anger can work against your long-term happiness and success. Stoicism teaches that staying aligned with your goals requires calm, strategic thinking, and anger disrupts this alignment, causing you to act in ways that harm your future. Another destructive element of anger is how it drains your energy. Anger consumes an enormous amount of mental and emotional energy, leaving you exhausted and less capable of handling other challenges. The longer you hold on to anger, the more it saps your strength, making it harder to stay focused, productive, and positive. Stoicism encourages conserving your energy for what truly matters, and by letting go of anger, you free up your mental and emotional resources to pursue more meaningful endeavors. Anger also diminishes your capacity for joy. When anger becomes a dominant force in your life, it clouds your ability to experience happiness and contentment. The emotional weight of anger lingers even after the initial outburst has passed, coloring your interactions and your outlook on life. Stoicism teaches that joy comes from within, but anger blocks that inner source of peace. By learning to avoid anger, you open yourself up to more moments of calm and happiness, allowing joy to flow more freely into your life. Another key reason Stoics warn against anger is that it often leads to regret. In the aftermath of an angry outburst, it's common to feel remorse for words spoken in haste or actions taken impulsively. This regret can linger, creating feelings of guilt or shame that further erode your peace of mind. Stoicism teaches that a calm, measured approach to life helps you avoid these moments of regret, allowing you to navigate challenges without creating more emotional turmoil for yourself. Anger also clouds your judgment. When you're angry, you're less able to think clearly or make rational decisions. This mental fog can lead to poor choices that have long-term consequences. Stoicism values reason and clarity above all, and anger disrupts your ability to access these faculties. By avoiding anger, you keep your mind sharp and focused, allowing you to respond to situations with wisdom rather than emotion. Another way anger is self-destructive is in how it disconnects you from others. Anger creates a barrier between you and the people around you, making it harder to communicate effectively or connect on a deeper level. Stoicism teaches that human connection is one of the most important aspects of a fulfilling life, and anger disrupts this connection. By staying calm and composed, you maintain stronger, healthier relationships with those around you, fostering a sense of community and support. Anger also limits your growth. When you're consumed by anger, you're less open to feedback or new perspectives. This emotional rigidity prevents you from learning and evolving, keeping you stuck in a cycle of frustration. Stoicism teaches that personal growth comes from staying open and adaptable, qualities that are hindered by anger. By letting go of anger, you free yourself to learn from every situation, even the challenging ones, and continue on your path of self-improvement. Another destructive aspect of anger is how it creates a sense of entitlement. When you're angry, you often feel justified in demanding that things go your way, regardless of the circumstances. This entitlement can lead to unreasonable expectations and a lack of empathy for others. Stoicism teaches that humility and understanding are key to a harmonious life, and anger disrupts these qualities by making you more focused on your own needs and desires than on the bigger picture. Stoicism also warns that anger makes you more vulnerable to manipulation. When you're angry, you're easier to provoke or influence, as your emotions are driving your decisions rather than your reason. This emotional vulnerability can be exploited by others, leading you to act in ways that aren't in your best interest. By staying calm and composed, you protect yourself from being manipulated, ensuring that your actions are guided by your principles rather than by external forces. Another self-destructive element of anger is how it prevents forgiveness. When you're angry, it's difficult to let go of grudges or forgive those who have wronged you. This inability to forgive keeps you trapped in a cycle of resentment, which only perpetuates your anger and keeps you from moving forward. Stoicism teaches that forgiveness is essential for maintaining inner peace and emotional freedom. By avoiding anger, you make it easier to forgive, allowing yourself to heal and grow without carrying the weight of past hurts. Anger also feeds on itself, creating a cycle that's hard to break. The more you indulge in anger, the more it becomes a default response, and the harder it is to choose calmness in the future. This cycle of anger reinforces itself, making you more prone to outbursts and less capable of controlling your emotions. Stoicism teaches that breaking this cycle requires conscious effort and practice, but once you do, you regain control over your emotional state and avoid the self-destructive patterns that anger creates. Another way anger is self-destructive is in how it robs you of time. Time spent in anger is time lost, time that could be spent on more meaningful pursuits, whether it's deepening relationships, working toward your goals, or simply enjoying life. Stoicism teaches that time is one of our most precious resources, and to waste it on anger is to waste opportunities for growth and happiness. By avoiding anger, you make better use of your time, focusing on what truly matters. Anger also blocks your ability to practice gratitude. When you're angry, it's difficult to see the good in your life, as the emotion clouds your perspective. Stoicism teaches that gratitude is key to a fulfilling life, and anger disrupts this gratitude by narrowing your focus to what's wrong. By letting go of anger, you open yourself up to the positive aspects of life, allowing you to experience more joy and contentment. Another key reason Stoics warn against anger is that it often leads to isolation. Anger pushes people away, making it harder for them to feel connected to you or want to spend time with you. This isolation can lead to loneliness, which further fuels the emotional cycle of frustration and resentment. Stoicism teaches that connection with others is vital for emotional health, and by avoiding anger, you maintain those connections, ensuring that you have a support system in place during difficult times. Anger also disrupts your ability to find inner peace. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes from a state of calm and balance, which anger disrupts. When you're angry, your mind is agitated, your emotions are heightened, and your sense of peace is shattered. By avoiding anger, you protect your inner calm, allowing you to live in a state of emotional balance that fosters well-being and happiness. Another way anger is self-destructive is in how it limits your ability to think clearly. Anger clouds your judgment and makes it harder to see the bigger picture. This tunnel vision prevents you from making wise decisions, which can have long-term consequences. Stoicism teaches that clear thinking is essential for navigating life's challenges, and by avoiding anger, you ensure that your mind remains sharp and focused, allowing you to make better choices. Stoicism also warns that anger makes you more reactive. When you're angry, you're more likely to act on impulse, rather than taking the time to think through your decisions. This reactivity can lead to poor choices that have long-lasting effects. By staying calm, you maintain control over your actions, ensuring that you respond to situations with thoughtfulness and care. Another destructive aspect of anger is how it erodes trust. When you react with anger, others may begin to doubt your reliability or ability to handle difficult situations. This erosion of trust can have serious consequences in both personal and professional relationships. Stoicism teaches that trust is built through consistency and calmness, qualities that are undermined by anger. By avoiding anger, you maintain the trust of those around you, ensuring stronger, healthier relationships. Anger also prevents you from practicing empathy. When you're consumed by anger, it's difficult to see things from another person's perspective or understand their feelings. This lack of empathy can lead to misunderstandings and conflict, further isolating you from others. Stoicism teaches that empathy is key to harmonious relationships, and by letting go of anger, you make it easier to connect with others on a deeper level. Another way anger is self-destructive is in how it feeds resentment. The longer you hold on to anger, the more it turns into resentment, which can poison your relationships and your mindset. Stoicism teaches that resentment is a toxic emotion that only harms the person holding on to it. By avoiding anger, you prevent resentment from taking root, allowing you to move forward with a clear and open heart. Finally, Stoicism teaches that anger is self-destructive because it distracts you from your true purpose. When you're caught up in anger, you lose sight of your goals and the things that truly matter in life. This distraction keeps you from living in alignment with your values and pursuing your higher purpose. By avoiding anger, you stay focused on what's important, ensuring that you live a life of meaning and fulfillment, free from the destructive cycle of emotional turmoil. As we've seen, Stoicism teaches that anger is self-destructive, and avoiding it is key to a balanced life. But how do the Stoics keep anger from arising in the first place? The answer lies in the power of rational thinking. By cultivating a mindset grounded in reason, Stoics can prevent anger from taking root. Rational thinking acts as a shield, protecting us from emotional overreactions and ensuring we navigate life's challenges with clarity and control. Let's dive into how Stoics use the power of reason to stop anger before it even begins. The foundation of rational thinking in Stoicism is the understanding that external events don't cause our emotions. Our thoughts about those events do. When something happens, it's not the event itself that makes us angry, but how we interpret it. By training the mind to respond to situations with reason instead of emotion, you prevent anger from gaining a foothold. This crucial realization shifts the responsibility for your emotional state back into your hands, empowering you to choose calmness over anger. One of the core practices Stoics use to maintain rational thinking is questioning their initial reactions. When something triggers an emotional response, instead of letting that emotion take over, they pause and ask, "Is this truly worth my anger?" This simple question helps them step back from the intensity of the moment and examine it more logically. Often the answer is no. What seemed like a big deal at first glance turns out to be insignificant upon closer inspection. This practice helps dissolve the anger before it has a chance to grow. Another technique Stoics employ is separating what they can control from what they cannot. Anger often arises when we try to control things that are beyond our influence, like other people's actions or unforeseen circumstances. Stoics understand that trying to control the uncontrollable is a waste of energy, leading only to frustration. By focusing solely on what is within their power, their own thoughts and actions, they eliminate the frustration that fuels anger. This focus on what can be controlled keeps them grounded in reason, making it difficult for anger to arise. Stoics also practice reframing situations in a way that reduces emotional intensity. When faced with a difficult or frustrating event, they actively choose to see it from a different perspective. For example, instead of viewing a delay as an inconvenience, they might see it as an opportunity to practice patience. This shift in thinking allows them to respond with calmness instead of irritation. Reframing is a powerful tool because it transforms potential triggers for anger into chances for growth, all by applying rational thinking. Another important aspect of Stoic reasoning is recognizing that life is inherently unpredictable. Anger often stems from unmet expectations. When things don't go as planned, we feel frustrated or cheated. But Stoics remind themselves that the world doesn't operate according to their desires. By accepting life's unpredictability as a natural part of existence, they prevent anger from arising when things don't unfold the way they'd hoped. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means recognizing reality and adjusting expectations accordingly. Stoicism also teaches the importance of maintaining perspective. When something goes wrong, it's easy to magnify the issue and let it consume your thoughts. But Stoics practice stepping back and asking themselves how significant the problem truly is in the grand scheme of things. Will this matter tomorrow, next week, or in a year? Often, the answer is no. By maintaining a broader perspective, they avoid getting swept up in emotional reactions to minor setbacks. This ability to keep things in proportion helps prevent anger from building up. Another key element of rational thinking is embracing impermanence. Stoics understand that everything, including emotions, is temporary. Anger might flare up in the moment, but it doesn't last unless you feed it. By acknowledging the fleeting nature of all things, including challenges and annoyances, they remind themselves that there's no need to hold on to anger. This awareness allows them to let go of frustrations quickly, keeping their minds clear and calm. Stoics also prevent anger from arising by focusing on the importance of self-discipline. Rational thinking isn't something that happens automatically. It requires practice and effort. Stoics commit to training their minds to respond to situations with reason instead of emotion. This discipline helps them stay composed even in stressful situations, as they've conditioned themselves to think before reacting. Over time, this habit of rational thinking becomes second nature, making it easier to remain calm and collected in the face of provocation. Another way Stoics use rational thinking to prevent anger is by practicing empathy. When someone's actions provoke irritation or frustration, Stoics pause to consider the other person's perspective. What challenges might they be facing? Are they acting out of ignorance or stress rather than malice? By putting themselves in the other person's shoes, they soften their emotional response and prevent anger from taking over. Empathy helps shift the focus from judgment to understanding, allowing reason to guide their reactions. Stoicism also encourages questioning the usefulness of anger. Anger often feels justified in the moment, but does it actually solve the problem? The Stoics teach that anger clouds judgment and rarely leads to productive outcomes. By reminding themselves that anger is an ineffective tool for dealing with challenges, they choose more constructive responses. This awareness helps them disengage from anger before it has a chance to control their actions, allowing them to handle situations with clarity and effectiveness. Another rational approach Stoics take is practicing detachment from outcomes. Anger frequently arises when we're overly attached to specific results, whether it's getting a promotion, winning an argument, or having plans go perfectly. But Stoics remind themselves that while they can control their efforts, they cannot control the outcome. By detaching from the need for things to turn out a certain way, they avoid the frustration that comes when reality doesn't align with expectations. This detachment brings a sense of calm that prevents anger from flaring up. Stoicism also teaches that anger often stems from a sense of entitlement. We feel that we deserve certain things, whether it's respect, success, or smooth sailing in life. And when those things aren't delivered, anger follows. But Stoics challenge this sense of entitlement by reminding themselves that life owes them nothing. By letting go of the belief that they are entitled to certain outcomes, they reduce the likelihood of anger arising when things don't go their way. This humble mindset helps keep them grounded in reason. Another powerful Stoic practice for preventing anger is cultivating gratitude. It's difficult for anger and gratitude to coexist. When you focus on what's going wrong, anger builds. But when you shift your attention to what's going right, the anger fades. Stoics make a habit of reflecting on the things they are grateful for, even in difficult times. This practice of gratitude helps them maintain a positive outlook and keeps anger at bay by reminding them of the good in their lives, no matter the challenges they face. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of accepting people as they are. Anger often arises when others don't meet our expectations, whether it's in their behavior, attitudes, or actions. But Stoics remind themselves that people are flawed, just as they are. Expecting perfection from others is unrealistic and sets the stage for disappointment and frustration. By accepting that everyone, including themselves, has shortcomings, Stoics prevent anger from arising when others fall short of their expectations. Another rational technique Stoics use is focusing on the long-term consequences of anger. While anger might feel satisfying in the moment, it often leads to actions and words that cause regret. Stoics regularly remind themselves of the long-term impact of their emotional responses, which helps them pause before reacting in anger. This foresight allows them to choose calmness, knowing that maintaining their composure will lead to better outcomes in the future. This ability to think ahead is a key aspect of Stoic rationality. Stoicism also teaches that anger thrives on overreaction. Often, anger arises not because of the event itself, but because we've blown it out of proportion in our minds. Stoics train themselves to recognize when they're overreacting and bring their thinking back to a more reasonable level. By practicing this mental restraint, they prevent minor irritations from escalating into full-blown anger. This practice of moderation helps them stay calm and balanced, even when faced with challenges. Another technique Stoics use to prevent anger is focusing on solutions rather than problems. Anger tends to focus the mind on what's wrong, but Stoics redirect their attention to what can be done to improve the situation. This proactive approach shifts their mindset from frustration to problem-solving, reducing the emotional intensity of the moment. By focusing on solutions, Stoics maintain control over their emotions and prevent anger from taking over. Stoicism also teaches the importance of letting go of grudges. Anger often festers when we hold on to past wrongs or grievances. Stoics understand that carrying anger over time only harms themselves. By practicing forgiveness, both of others and of themselves, they release the emotional weight of anger and create space for peace. This forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior, but about freeing themselves from the cycle of resentment. Letting go of grudges helps Stoics remain calm and avoid the buildup of anger. Another key Stoic practice is maintaining self-awareness. Anger doesn't usually arise out of nowhere. It often builds gradually. Stoics cultivate an awareness of their emotional state so they can recognize the early signs of frustration before it turns into anger. By catching the emotion in its early stages, they have the opportunity to redirect their thoughts and prevent the anger from escalating. This self-awareness is a powerful tool in staying grounded in reason and preventing emotional overreactions. Stoicism also emphasizes the value of resilience in preventing anger. Life will inevitably bring difficulties and setbacks, but Stoics train themselves to bounce back quickly from these challenges. Resilience helps them maintain a calm, rational mindset, even in the face of adversity. By developing emotional resilience, Stoics reduce the likelihood of anger taking hold, as they're better equipped to handle life's ups and downs with grace and composure. Another way Stoics use rational thinking to prevent anger is by practicing detachment from the opinions of others. Anger often arises when we feel judged or criticized by others, but Stoics remind themselves that other people's opinions are beyond their control and do not define their worth. By detaching from the need for external validation, they prevent anger from arising when faced with criticism. This detachment helps them maintain their inner peace, regardless of what others may think or say. Stoicism also teaches the importance of emotional regulation. Stoics understand that emotions, including anger, are a natural part of the human experience. Instead of trying to suppress or ignore these emotions, they practice regulating them through reason. By acknowledging their emotions and then guiding them with rational thinking, Stoics prevent emotions like anger from becoming overwhelming. This balance between acknowledging emotions and applying reason ensures that they remain calm and composed in challenging situations. Another powerful Stoic technique is embracing the practice of patience. Anger often arises from impatience, when we want things to happen faster or smoother than they do. But Stoics remind themselves that patience is key to navigating life's challenges. By cultivating patience, they reduce the frustration that fuels anger allowing them to remain calm even when things don't go as planned. This patient mindset is essential for preventing anger from taking root. Stoics also prevent anger by practicing mental clarity. When emotions run high, it's easy for the mind to become clouded with irrational thoughts and assumptions. Stoics make a habit of clearing their minds by focusing on what is true and dismissing unhelpful or exaggerated thoughts. This clarity allows them to see situations as they are, not as their emotions might distort them. By keeping their minds clear, Stoics prevent the confusion that often leads to anger. Another way Stoics use rational thinking is by setting realistic expectations. Anger often arises when reality doesn't match our expectations, whether in relationships, work, or daily life. Stoics remind themselves that life is unpredictable and full of imperfections. By setting expectations that align with this reality, they reduce the frustration that comes from unmet desires. This realistic approach helps them maintain emotional balance, preventing anger from arising when things don't go as hoped. Stoicism also teaches that anger often stems from pride. When our ego is bruised, whether by insult, rejection, or failure, it's easy to react with anger. But Stoics recognize that pride is a fragile foundation for peace. By practicing humility and letting go of the need to always be right or respected, they reduce the emotional triggers that lead to anger. This humility allows them to navigate challenges with grace, choosing reason over prideful reactions. Another important aspect of Stoic rational thinking is focusing on the present moment. Anger often arises when we dwell on past wrongs or worry about future problems. Stoics train their minds to stay grounded in the present, focusing on what they can do here and now. This focus on the present reduces the emotional charge of both past and future concerns, preventing anger from building up. By staying present, Stoics maintain clarity and calm in the face of adversity. Stoicism also teaches that anger can be prevented by practicing acceptance. Many of the things that trigger anger are simply beyond our control, whether it's the actions of others, unexpected delays, or life's unpredictability. By practicing radical acceptance of reality as it is, Stoics let go of the need for things to be different than they are. This acceptance frees them from the frustration that often fuels anger, allowing them to remain calm even when faced with difficult circumstances. Another rational practice Stoics use is questioning the long-term impact of the situation. When something triggers anger, Stoics ask themselves whether this moment will truly matter in the future. Will this issue still be important a month, a year, or even a week from now? Often the answer is no. This realization helps them keep the situation in perspective, reducing the emotional intensity and preventing anger from taking over. Stoicism also encourages the practice of self-reflection. By regularly reflecting on their thoughts, actions, and emotional responses, Stoics gain insight into their triggers and patterns. This self-awareness allows them to anticipate and prepare for situations that might lead to anger. Through reflection, Stoics can fine-tune their rational thinking and make adjustments to prevent future emotional overreactions. Another way Stoics prevent anger is by practicing forgiveness. Holding on to resentment or past grievances keeps anger alive. Stoics understand that forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior, but about releasing the emotional weight of the past. By choosing to forgive, they free themselves from the cycle of anger and resentment, allowing peace and rational thinking to take its place. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of inner peace. Anger disrupts this peace, while rational thinking helps preserve it. By prioritizing their inner calm above external circumstances, Stoics maintain emotional stability even in challenging situations. This commitment to inner peace acts as a buffer against anger, ensuring that their minds remain grounded in reason rather than emotional turmoil. Finally, Stoics use the power of rational thinking to prevent anger by recognizing that emotional mastery is a lifelong practice. They understand that staying calm and composed in the face of adversity requires ongoing effort and reflection. By continually applying the principles of Stoic rationality, such as questioning their reactions, accepting what they cannot control, and maintaining perspective, they prevent anger from arising and live in greater harmony with themselves and the world around them. Now that we've explored how rational thinking can prevent anger from arising, it's time to dive deeper into practical ways to replace anger with inner peace. Stoicism offers simple yet powerful techniques that allow us to shift from frustration to calmness, from emotional turbulence to clarity. By integrating these practices into daily life, we can gradually transform our responses, ensuring that anger loses its hold and peace becomes our natural state. Let's look closely at 8 Stoic practices that help replace anger with a deep sense of inner tranquility. One of the most effective Stoic practices for cultivating peace is the habit of pausing before reacting. In moments of anger, the urge to respond impulsively can be overwhelming. But Stoicism teaches that by taking a brief pause, you gain control over your emotions. This moment of stillness allows you to assess the situation with clarity, breaking the cycle of reactionary anger. The pause doesn't need to be long, just enough to take a breath and reset your thoughts. This practice alone can prevent many angry outbursts and help you move toward a more peaceful response. Another core Stoic practice is focusing on what is within your control. Anger often stems from trying to change things that are beyond your influence, whether it's someone else's actions, an unexpected event, or a situation outside your control. Stoicism teaches that true peace comes from accepting the limits of your power and directing your energy only toward what you can change, your own thoughts, actions, and responses. By focusing on your sphere of control, you reduce frustration and create space for calmness to take root. A powerful technique to replace anger with peace is the practice of gratitude. Anger typically focuses on what's wrong in a situation, amplifying negative emotions. But Stoicism encourages you to shift your focus to what's right, to the things you can be grateful for, even in difficult moments. Gratitude softens the intensity of anger, reminding you of the good in your life that outweighs the frustrations. This practice allows you to move away from negative emotions and into a state of appreciation, which fosters inner peace. Another simple but effective Stoic practice is reframing your thoughts. When something triggers anger, it's often because you've interpreted the situation in a negative or personal way. But by consciously choosing to see the situation differently, you can change your emotional response. For instance, instead of viewing someone's rude comment as an attack, you might reframe it as a reflection of their bad day or their own struggles. This shift in perspective instantly reduces the emotional charge and makes it easier to remain calm. Stoicism also emphasizes the value of acceptance. Many of the things that trigger anger arise from resistance to reality. We get upset when life doesn't go according to our plans or desires. But Stoics teach that peace comes from accepting life as it is, not as we wish it to be. This doesn't mean passive resignation, but rather an active practice of embracing reality, including its challenges. By accepting what is beyond your control, you release the tension that fuels anger, allowing peace to flow more easily. Another Stoic practice to replace anger with peace is practicing empathy. When someone else's actions provoke you, it's easy to react with judgment or irritation. But Stoicism encourages you to take a step back and consider what might be motivating the other person. Are they acting out of ignorance, stress, or fear? By putting yourself in their shoes, you soften your emotional response and replace anger with understanding. This compassionate approach helps dissolve the intensity of negative feelings and fosters a sense of calm and connection. A vital practice in Stoicism for cultivating peace is the art of detachment. Anger often arises when we become too attached to outcomes, whether it's wanting things to go a certain way or needing others to behave according to our expectations. But Stoicism teaches that attachment to specific results leads to frustration, as life rarely unfolds perfectly. By practicing detachment, you release your need for control over external outcomes and instead focus on doing your best in each moment. This shift brings a deep sense of peace, as you are no longer at the mercy of events beyond your control. Stoics also practice letting go of the past as a way to replace anger with peace. Anger often lingers because we hold on to old grievances, replaying past wrongs in our minds. But Stoicism reminds us that the past is unchangeable, and clinging to it only prolongs our suffering. By consciously choosing to let go of past hurts and focusing on the present moment, you free yourself from the emotional baggage that fuels anger. This release creates space for peace to enter, allowing you to move forward with a lighter heart. Another Stoic technique is cultivating self-awareness. Anger doesn't always arise suddenly. It often builds gradually from irritation or frustration. By developing self-awareness, you can recognize the early signs of rising emotion and intervene before it escalates. Stoics make a habit of checking in with their emotional state, noticing when they're becoming agitated and taking steps to calm themselves. This awareness allows you to respond to situations with intention rather than being swept up in emotional reactions, helping to maintain a sense of inner peace. Practicing patience is another key Stoic principle that helps replace anger with calm. Anger often arises when things don't happen as quickly or smoothly as we'd like, whether it's waiting in line, dealing with delays, or encountering setbacks. But Stoicism teaches that patience is essential for navigating life's inevitable challenges. By practicing patience, you reduce the frustration that leads to anger and cultivate a sense of peace in the face of uncertainty. This patient mindset allows you to remain composed, even when life doesn't go according to plan. Another Stoic practice for cultivating peace is simplifying your thoughts. When emotions like anger arise, the mind can become cluttered with exaggerated worries and assumptions. Stoics practice clearing away unnecessary thoughts and focusing on what is true and essential. This mental clarity helps prevent emotional overreaction, making it easier to stay calm in difficult moments. By simplifying your thoughts, you create a more peaceful mental environment, free from the chaos that fuels anger. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of humility in replacing anger with peace. Often, anger stems from wounded pride or a sense of entitlement. We feel that we deserve better treatment or outcomes. But Stoicism teaches that humility allows you to let go of the need for constant validation or recognition. By practicing humility, you reduce the likelihood of anger arising when your ego is challenged. This humility helps you remain calm and centered, even in the face of criticism or disappointment. Another powerful Stoic technique is practicing emotional resilience. Life will inevitably bring challenges and frustrations, but Stoics train themselves to bounce back quickly from setbacks. Resilience helps you maintain your inner calm, even when things don't go as planned. By developing emotional resilience, you become less vulnerable to anger and more capable of handling life's difficulties with grace. This strength allows you to stay peaceful, even in the midst of adversity. Stoicism also teaches the practice of mindfulness as a way to replace anger with inner peace. Anger often arises when we're lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. But by grounding yourself in the present moment, you reduce the emotional charge of these thoughts. Mindfulness allows you to fully engage with the here and now, helping you respond to situations with clarity rather than being swept away by anger. This practice of mindfulness cultivates a deep sense of peace as you learn to let go of distractions and focus on what truly matters. Another Stoic practice is focusing on solutions rather than problems. Anger often keeps you stuck in a cycle of frustration, fixating on what went wrong. But Stoicism encourages you to shift your focus to finding solutions. By approaching challenges with a problem-solving mindset, you move away from negative emotions and toward constructive action. This proactive approach not only helps resolve the issue, but also brings a sense of empowerment and peace as you take control of the situation rather than being controlled by your emotions. The Stoics also practice self-compassion as a way to replace internal anger with peace. Often, we direct anger toward ourselves, whether for past mistakes, failures, or unmet expectations. But Stoicism teaches that self-compassion is essential for emotional balance. By treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend, you soften the harsh self-judgment that fuels anger. This practice of self-compassion allows you to move forward with grace and acceptance, cultivating a sense of inner peace. Another Stoic technique is practicing regular reflection. Stoics make a habit of reflecting on their thoughts, actions, and emotional responses, both in moments of calm and after difficult situations. This reflection helps them identify patterns, recognize triggers, and make adjustments to prevent future emotional reactions. By regularly reflecting on their behavior, Stoics maintain a deeper awareness of their emotions, allowing them to stay calm and composed in the face of challenges. This reflective practice fosters a continuous state of growth and peace. Stoicism also teaches that peace comes from aligning your actions with your values. Anger often arises when you act in ways that contradict your principles, creating inner conflict. By living in accordance with your core values, whether it's kindness, honesty, or patience, you reduce the likelihood of anger arising. This alignment creates a sense of integrity and inner harmony, which fosters lasting peace. The more you live in alignment with your values, the more naturally peace flows into your life. Another Stoic practice for replacing anger with peace is cultivating detachment from material possessions. Anger often arises when we feel that something we own is threatened or lost. But Stoics teach that true peace comes from within, not from external things. By practicing detachment from material possessions, you free yourself from the emotional turmoil that comes from attachment. This detachment helps you remain calm even when faced with loss, knowing that your inner peace is not dependent on what you own. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of accepting imperfection. Anger frequently stems from a desire for things to be perfect, whether it's people, situations, or ourselves. But Stoics remind us that imperfection is a natural part of life. By accepting the flaws in yourself, others, and the world around you, you let go of the frustration that comes from unmet ideals. This acceptance brings emotional peace, as you no longer feel the need to control or fix everything. Instead, you learn to embrace life as it is, with all its imperfections. Another key Stoic practice is letting go of the need to be right. Anger often arises in conflicts where we feel the need to prove ourselves or win an argument. But Stoicism teaches that inner peace is more valuable than being right. By letting go of the need to always have the last word or come out on top, you reduce the emotional intensity of disagreements and maintain harmony in your relationships. This practice of humility helps you choose peace over conflict, ensuring that your emotional well-being remains intact. Stoicism also encourages practicing silence as a way to maintain peace. When anger flares up, the urge to speak or argue can be strong, but Stoics teach that silence is often a more powerful response. By choosing not to engage in heated discussions or confrontations, you allow the situation to diffuse naturally. This practice of silence gives you time to reflect and respond thoughtfully, rather than reacting impulsively. It also prevents escalation, ensuring that peace is preserved in the moment. Another Stoic practice is focusing on the present moment. Anger often arises when we're fixated on past grievances or future anxieties. By grounding yourself in the here and now, you shift your attention away from these emotional triggers. The present moment is rarely as overwhelming as the stories we tell ourselves about it. By focusing on what's happening right in front of you, you reduce the emotional charge of anger and cultivate a sense of peace that comes from being fully present. The Stoics also teach the importance of finding peace through service to others. Anger often arises from a focus on the self, whether it's our own frustrations, desires, or disappointments. But Stoicism encourages shifting your focus outward toward helping others. By practicing acts of kindness or service, you reduce the inward focus that fuels anger and replace it with a sense of connection and purpose. This outward focus not only helps others, but also brings a deep sense of peace and fulfillment to your own life. Another Stoic technique is practicing forgiveness, both toward others and yourself. Holding on to anger or resentment keeps you trapped in a cycle of negativity. But forgiveness allows you to release the emotional weight of past wrongs, creating space for peace to enter. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but rather freeing yourself from the burden of carrying anger. By practicing forgiveness, you cultivate a sense of emotional freedom and inner calm, allowing peace to replace the tension that once held you back. Stoicism also teaches that peace comes from embracing uncertainty. Anger often arises when we try to control or predict the future, leading to frustration when things don't go as planned. But Stoics remind us that life is full of unknowns, and trying to control everything is a losing battle. By embracing uncertainty and letting go of the need for control, you reduce the emotional turmoil that comes from resisting change. This acceptance of uncertainty allows peace to flow more naturally into your life. Another Stoic practice is reflecting on the impermanence of life. Anger often flares up when we take things too seriously or hold on to them too tightly. But Stoicism teaches that everything is temporary, including our challenges and frustrations. By reflecting on the fleeting nature of life, you gain a broader perspective that softens the intensity of anger. This awareness helps you focus on what truly matters and let go of minor irritations, replacing anger with a deeper sense of peace and gratitude. Another key practice in Stoicism is practicing gratitude in challenging moments. Even when life is difficult, there is always something to be thankful for. By consciously focusing on gratitude, you shift your mindset from frustration to appreciation. This practice doesn't ignore the challenges you face, but it helps you balance them with a recognition of the good in your life. Gratitude dissolves the emotional intensity of anger, allowing peace to take its place. Finally, Stoics cultivate peace by practicing self-mastery. Anger arises when we feel out of control, whether over ourselves or our circumstances. But Stoicism teaches that true peace comes from mastering your own mind and emotions. By practicing self-discipline and developing control over your thoughts, you reduce the likelihood of anger taking over. This self-mastery creates a foundation of inner peace that allows you to navigate life's challenges with calmness and clarity, no matter what comes your way. As we've seen, the Stoic practices we use to replace anger with inner peace can completely transform how we handle life's challenges. But what happens when provocation strikes? when others test our patience, push our buttons, or try to trigger an emotional reaction. The Stoics have an answer for this too. They offer powerful techniques that allow us to stay calm, composed, and unaffected by provocation, no matter the situation. Let's explore how Stoic wisdom helps maintain inner tranquility when faced with provocations that could otherwise shake our peace. One of the first Stoic techniques to remain unaffected by provocation is to remember that you control your response, not the external event. The Stoics teach that while you cannot stop someone from behaving badly or trying to provoke you, you are entirely in control of how you react. When you shift your focus from what's happening outside to what's happening within, you gain power over the situation. You no longer feel the need to match their aggression or irritation, and this allows you to remain calm and unaffected. Another Stoic technique is practicing emotional detachment. Provocation often works because it taps into our emotions, making us feel personally attacked or defensive. But Stoicism teaches that emotions, while natural, do not need to define our actions. By detaching from the immediate emotional response, you create a mental buffer between the provocation and your reaction. This space allows you to think more clearly and respond with reason rather than being driven by emotion. Emotional detachment is a key to remaining steady in the face of external pressure. Stoicism also encourages practicing non-reactivity. This technique involves consciously choosing not to respond to provocations at all, especially in the heat of the moment. By doing nothing, you rob the provocation of its power. Provokers often seek a reaction, and when they don't get one, their ability to disturb you diminishes. Non-reactivity is not about ignoring the problem, but about showing that you are in full control of yourself. By practicing this technique, you can stay centered and unaffected, even when someone tries to rile you up. Another effective Stoic practice is recognizing that other people's behavior is not about you. Often, when someone tries to provoke you, it's a reflection of their own inner turmoil, frustrations, or insecurities. The Stoics teach that it's important not to take these actions personally. By recognizing that their behavior is a result of their own issues, you can detach from the situation emotionally and avoid feeling targeted. This understanding allows you to maintain a sense of inner calm as you realize that their actions have nothing to do with your worth or identity. A crucial Stoic technique for staying unaffected by provocation is reframing the situation. When someone provokes you, it's easy to view their behavior as offensive or unjust. But Stoics remind us that we have the power to change how we see things. Instead of viewing the provocation as an attack, you can choose to see it as a test of your patience or an opportunity to practice self-control. This shift in perspective reduces the emotional intensity of the situation, making it easier to remain calm and collected. Stoics also teach the importance of not engaging in petty disputes. Often, provocations come in the form of minor irritations or attempts to drag you into unnecessary conflicts. But Stoicism encourages you to rise above these situations by refusing to engage. By recognizing that getting involved in trivial arguments only wastes your energy and disrupts your peace, you can choose to walk away or respond with silence. This refusal to engage helps you maintain your dignity and avoid being pulled into negative situations that don't serve your well-being. Another Stoic practice is preparing yourself mentally for provocations in advance. The Stoics often practiced premeditatio malorum, or premeditation on adversity, where they would visualize possible challenges they might face throughout the day. By anticipating provocations and imagining how they would respond with calmness and grace, they prepared themselves to handle real-life situations more effectively. This mental rehearsal makes it easier to stay composed when faced with actual provocations, as you've already practiced staying calm in your mind. A powerful Stoic principle for handling provocation is understanding that you cannot control others, only yourself. Often, we become angry or frustrated when others don't act the way we think they should. But Stoics remind us that expecting others to behave perfectly is unrealistic and sets us up for disappointment. By accepting that people will sometimes provoke you or act out of line, and that you cannot change their behavior, you reduce the frustration that leads to anger. This acceptance allows you to focus on maintaining your own inner peace instead of trying to control others. Another Stoic technique is practicing forgiveness in the moment of provocation. When someone provokes you, it's natural to feel wronged or offended, but Stoicism teaches that holding on to these feelings only harms you. By forgiving the person for their behavior, even if it's undeserved, you free yourself from the emotional burden of anger or resentment. This practice of forgiveness allows you to let go of the situation quickly, ensuring that you remain unaffected and at peace. The Stoics also teach the importance of focusing on your long-term goals rather than getting caught up in short-term provocations. When someone tries to provoke you, it's easy to get distracted from what really matters. But Stoics remind us to keep our eyes on the bigger picture, whether it's personal growth, maintaining relationships, or staying true to your values. By staying focused on your long-term purpose, you can brush off provocations as minor disruptions that don't deserve your attention. This clarity helps you stay composed and unaffected by the actions of others. Another Stoic practice is recognizing the impermanence of emotions. When someone provokes you, the initial surge of anger or frustration may feel overwhelming, but Stoicism teaches that all emotions are temporary. By reminding yourself that the intensity of the provocation will soon pass, you can prevent yourself from reacting impulsively. This awareness allows you to ride out the emotional wave without letting it dictate your actions, helping you stay calm and composed in the moment. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of keeping perspective. When provoked, it's easy to blow the situation out of proportion and react as though it's a significant event. But Stoics practice asking themselves, will this matter tomorrow, next week, in a year? By putting the provocation into perspective, you often realize that it's not as important as it feels in the moment. This practice helps you stay grounded and prevents small provocations from disrupting your inner peace. Another way to stay unaffected by provocation is by practicing humility. Provocations often trigger anger because they threaten our pride or ego. But Stoicism teaches that humility allows us to let go of the need to defend our ego or prove ourselves right. By embracing humility, you reduce the emotional sting of provocation and remain calm, even when others challenge or criticize you. This practice helps you prioritize peace over pride, ensuring that you stay composed in the face of provocation. The Stoics also teach that physical responses to provocation can be managed through techniques like deep breathing. When provoked, your body's natural reaction might include a racing heart or tense muscles, which can amplify feelings of anger. But by consciously practicing deep, slow breathing, you can calm your nervous system and reduce the physical sensations of anger. This physiological response helps you stay grounded, allowing your mind to remain clear and rational despite the provocation. Another Stoic practice is developing a sense of emotional resilience. Provocations are inevitable in life, but Stoics train themselves to recover quickly from emotional disturbances. By building emotional resilience, you become less vulnerable to the impact of provocations. Instead of allowing negative emotions to linger and grow, you can bounce back swiftly, returning to a state of calm and composure. This resilience allows you to remain unaffected by external challenges and maintain your inner peace. Stoics also use the practice of self-reflection to handle provocations effectively. After being provoked, they take time to reflect on their emotional response and analyze how they could improve next time. This self-awareness allows them to learn from each experience, refining their ability to remain calm in future situations. By regularly reflecting on their reactions, Stoics cultivate a deeper understanding of their triggers and develop strategies to handle provocations with greater ease and composure. Another Stoic technique is focusing on the broader human experience. When provoked, it's easy to feel isolated in your frustration, as though the situation is unique to you. But Stoicism reminds us that provocations are a universal part of life, experienced by everyone at some point. By recognizing that you're not alone in facing challenges, you gain a sense of solidarity with others and reduce the personal sting of the provocation. This broader perspective helps you stay calm as you see the provocation as part of the shared human condition rather than a personal attack. Stoics also practice controlling their speech when provoked. It's often tempting to respond to provocation with harsh words or impulsive reactions, but Stoicism teaches that words spoken in anger can cause long-lasting harm. By practicing restraint and choosing your words carefully, you avoid saying something you might later regret. This verbal discipline allows you to de-escalate the situation and maintain your composure, ensuring that your response aligns with your values rather than your emotions. Another powerful Stoic practice is maintaining a sense of inner tranquility. Provocation is designed to disrupt your peace, but Stoicism teaches that true tranquility comes from within and is not dependent on external circumstances. By cultivating a deep sense of inner calm through meditation, reflection, and self-discipline, you create a mental fortress that is resistant to external provocations. This inner tranquility acts as a shield, helping you stay unaffected by others' attempts to disturb your peace. Stoics also use the technique of focusing on their own values during moments of provocation. When faced with a situation that could provoke anger or frustration, they remind themselves of the kind of person they want to be: calm, rational, and composed. By staying true to their values, they ensure that their response reflects their principles rather than the provocation. This alignment with values helps them rise above the situation and respond with grace and dignity. Another Stoic technique is recognizing the difference between what happens to you and how you interpret it. Provocations are often neutral events that we label as offensive or irritating based on our interpretation. Stoics teach that by changing your interpretation of the event, you can change your emotional response. Instead of seeing the provocation as an attack, you might view it as a chance to practice patience or self-control. This mental shift allows you to remain calm as you no longer see the situation as threatening or unjust. The Stoics also practice gratitude as a way to stay unaffected by provocation. Even in the face of challenges, they focus on the things they are grateful for in their lives. Gratitude shifts the mind away from anger and frustration, helping you maintain a positive perspective. By focusing on what's going well, you reduce the emotional intensity of the provocation and create space for peace to take root. Another Stoic practice is accepting that provocation is a part of life. Trying to avoid all provocations is unrealistic, and Stoics teach that accepting this reality reduces the frustration that comes from resistance. By embracing the fact that challenges and provocations will occur, you prepare yourself mentally and emotionally to handle them with calmness. This acceptance allows you to respond with patience and resilience, rather than reacting with anger or defensiveness. Stoicism also emphasizes the practice of detachment from outcomes. When provoked, it's easy to become overly concerned with how others perceive you or the outcome of the situation. But Stoics remind us that our worth is not tied to external validation or specific results. By detaching from the need to control outcomes, You free yourself from the anxiety that fuels anger. This detachment allows you to stay focused on your own actions and maintain your inner peace, regardless of how others behave. Another powerful Stoic practice is focusing on the present moment. Provocations often trigger thoughts about the past or future, whether it's recalling past grievances or worrying about future consequences. But Stoicism teaches that peace is found in the present. By grounding yourself in the here and now, you reduce the emotional charge of these thoughts and respond more calmly. This focus on the present helps you stay centered and prevents external provocations from disrupting your peace of mind. Stoics also practice developing compassion toward others, even in the face of provocation. When someone provokes you, it's easy to react with anger or judgment. But Stoicism encourages you to respond with compassion, recognizing that the person may be acting out of their own pain or ignorance. By approaching the situation with empathy, you soften your emotional response and prevent anger from taking hold. This practice of compassion helps you remain calm and unaffected, even when others try to provoke you. Another Stoic technique is reminding yourself of the impermanence of the situation. Provocations, no matter how intense, are temporary. By remembering that the moment will pass, you reduce the urgency to react emotionally. This awareness helps you stay grounded, as you recognize that the provocation is just a fleeting challenge, not a permanent obstacle. This understanding allows you to remain calm and composed, knowing that peace will return. The Stoics also teach that anger and frustration are self-imposed burdens. Provocations don't inherently cause these emotions. It's our thoughts about the situation that create the emotional response. By changing your mindset and choosing to see provocations as opportunities for growth, you free yourself from the emotional weight of anger. This shift in perspective allows you to remain unaffected by external challenges, as you realize that your peace is within your control. Another Stoic practice is developing mental toughness. Life will always bring provocations, but Stoics train themselves to become mentally strong and resilient. This mental toughness allows them to handle provocations with grace, knowing that their inner strength is greater than any external challenge. By cultivating this resilience, you can face provocations with confidence, knowing that you have the emotional tools to stay calm and unaffected. Stoicism also teaches the importance of setting boundaries. When faced with ongoing provocations, it's important to protect your peace by setting clear boundaries. This might mean removing yourself from toxic situations or distancing yourself from people who consistently try to provoke you. Setting boundaries helps you maintain control over your environment and ensures that you prioritize your well-being. By creating these protective measures, you reduce the likelihood of being provoked and ensure that your peace remains intact. Another Stoic practice is maintaining a sense of humor. Provocations often feel heavy and serious, but Stoics remind us that many situations can be lightened with a bit of humor. By choosing to see the humor in a frustrating situation, you reduce the emotional intensity and shift your mindset toward positivity. This practice helps you stay relaxed and unaffected, as you learn to laugh at life's challenges rather than letting them disrupt your peace. Finally, Stoicism teaches that provocations are opportunities for self-mastery. Each time you face a provocation and respond with calmness and grace, you strengthen your ability to control your emotions and stay true to your values. By viewing provocations as chances to practice self-discipline and emotional resilience, you transform them from threats to growth opportunities. This perspective allows you to stay unaffected by external challenges and maintain your inner peace no matter what life throws your way. Having explored how to stay unaffected by provocation using Stoic techniques, the next step is mastering your reactions completely. Anger often arises when we feel out of control, But Stoicism offers powerful strategies to help you not only manage, but eliminate anger from your life for good. These strategies focus on transforming your habitual responses into calm, intentional actions. Let's dive into 8 Stoic approaches that will allow you to master your reactions and put an end to anger once and for all. One of the first strategies in mastering your reactions is to shift your perspective. Anger often flares up because we interpret events in a way that feels personal or unfair. But Stoicism teaches that it's not the event itself that causes anger, it's our interpretation of it. By shifting how you view the situation, you can change how you respond. When you learn to see challenges as neutral rather than personal, your emotional reactions become more measured and calm, paving the way for long-term peace. Another critical Stoic technique is the practice of mindfulness. Anger can take hold when we are reactive, living on autopilot, without full awareness of what's happening in our minds. But by cultivating mindfulness, you become more aware of your emotional triggers and can catch yourself before anger escalates. This heightened awareness allows you to interrupt the cycle of anger before it takes over, ensuring that your response is guided by reason rather than emotion. Mindfulness puts you back in control of your reactions. Stoicism also teaches that controlling your initial response is key to mastering anger. When something or someone frustrates you, your first reaction might be emotional. But instead of acting on that emotion, the Stoics advise you to pause and reflect before responding. This brief pause creates space for rational thinking, helping you avoid saying or doing something in the heat of the moment that you'll later regret. With practice, this simple pause becomes a powerful tool for staying calm in situations that might otherwise provoke anger. Another important Stoic strategy is focusing on the things within your control. Anger often arises when we feel powerless or frustrated by things we can't change, whether it's the actions of others, unexpected obstacles, or circumstances beyond our influence. Stoicism teaches that peace comes from focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and attitude, while letting go of the need to control external events. By directing your energy toward what you can change, you reduce the frustration that feeds anger, leading to a calmer, more centered state of mind. A powerful technique for ending anger is reframing difficult situations. When faced with a challenge or provocation, it's easy to see the situation as a setback or unfair. But Stoics train themselves to see challenges as opportunities for growth. By reframing the situation in this way, you transform anger into curiosity or determination. This shift in mindset not only reduces the emotional charge, but also allows you to approach the problem with a clear, focused mind. Reframing turns obstacles into learning experiences, helping you maintain your composure even in the face of adversity. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of emotional resilience in mastering anger. Life is full of ups and downs, but Stoics teach that how you respond to those challenges is within your control. By cultivating resilience, you become less reactive to negative events and more capable of bouncing back quickly from frustrations. This resilience acts as a buffer, protecting you from the intense emotions that often accompany setbacks. Over time, emotional resilience becomes a shield that prevents anger from taking root, allowing you to stay grounded and at peace. Another Stoic strategy is practicing forgiveness, both toward others and yourself. Holding on to anger or grudges only prolongs your suffering, keeping you trapped in a cycle of negativity. But Stoicism teaches that forgiveness is not just for the benefit of the person who wronged you. It's a gift you give yourself. By choosing to forgive, you release the emotional weight that comes with anger and resentment, making room for peace and healing. This practice of forgiveness ensures that anger doesn't linger, allowing you to move forward with a clear and unburdened heart. A crucial Stoic practice for mastering your reactions is detachment from outcomes. Anger often arises when we become overly attached to a specific result or outcome, whether it's success, recognition, or someone's approval. Stoicism reminds us that while we can control our efforts, we cannot control the outcome. By detaching from the need for things to turn out a certain way, you reduce the frustration and disappointment that fuel anger. This detachment helps you stay calm and composed, no matter what happens. Another Stoic technique is developing a strong sense of self-discipline. Mastering your reactions to anger requires consistent effort and practice. By cultivating self-discipline, you strengthen your ability to control your emotions rather than being controlled by them. This discipline extends to every aspect of your life: how you manage stress, how you respond to difficult people, and how you handle setbacks. The more you practice self-discipline, the easier it becomes to stay calm and composed in the face of provocation. Stoicism also teaches the value of perspective in ending anger. When something triggers anger, it's easy to get caught up in the intensity of the moment. But Stoics practice stepping back and asking themselves how significant the problem truly is in the grand scheme of things. Will this matter in a week, a year, or 5 years from now? By gaining perspective, you reduce the emotional impact of the situation and find it easier to let go of the anger. This broader view helps you stay focused on what really matters, allowing you to maintain a calm and peaceful demeanor. Another strategy is practicing gratitude in moments of frustration. When you focus on what's wrong, anger intensifies. But when you shift your attention to what you're grateful for, it's much harder for anger to take hold. Stoics regularly reflect on the things they are grateful for, even in difficult situations, because gratitude softens the emotional response and helps maintain a positive outlook. By cultivating gratitude, you transform anger into appreciation, ensuring that negative emotions don't dominate your reactions. Stoicism also encourages practicing empathy toward others, especially when provoked. Anger often arises from misunderstandings or misinterpretations of someone else's behavior. By taking a moment to consider what might be motivating the other person, whether it's stress, fear, or ignorance, you reduce your emotional reaction and open yourself up to understanding. Empathy helps dissolve anger by shifting your focus from judgment to connection, allowing you to respond with compassion rather than frustration. A key Stoic principle for mastering anger is accepting the unpredictability of life. Many times, anger is fueled by unmet expectations. When things don't go according to plan, we feel frustrated or cheated. But Stoicism teaches that life is inherently unpredictable, and the only thing we can control is how we respond. By accepting that things won't always go the way you want, you reduce the frustration that leads to anger. This acceptance brings a sense of peace, as you no longer feel the need to resist or fight against reality. Another important Stoic strategy is focusing on the present moment. Anger often arises when we're caught up in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. But Stoicism teaches that peace is found in the here and now. By grounding yourself in the present moment, you reduce the emotional intensity of these thoughts and focus on what you can do right now. This present-mindedness helps you stay calm and responsive rather than reactive, ensuring that anger doesn't take over. Stoicism also emphasizes the practice of self-compassion. Often, we direct anger toward ourselves for mistakes, failures, or shortcomings. But this self-directed anger only exacerbates feelings of guilt and frustration. Stoicism teaches that self-compassion is essential for emotional balance. By treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend, you soften the harsh self-criticism that fuels anger. This practice of self-compassion helps you move forward with grace and acceptance, ensuring that anger doesn't take root within. Another Stoic practice for mastering anger is cultivating mental clarity. Anger thrives in a cluttered, chaotic mind, where thoughts and emotions are jumbled and overwhelming. By regularly clearing your mind through practices like meditation, journaling, or reflection, you create space for calmness and rational thinking. This mental clarity helps you approach situations with greater composure, making it easier to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. A clear mind is a powerful tool in ending anger and maintaining emotional balance. Stoicism also teaches the importance of humility in mastering anger. Anger often arises when our pride is hurt or when we feel the need to defend our ego. But Stoicism reminds us that humility allows us to let go of the need for constant validation or recognition. By embracing humility, you reduce the emotional charge that comes with challenges to your ego, making it easier to remain calm in the face of criticism or provocation. This humility helps you prioritize peace over pride, ensuring that anger doesn't have a foothold in your reactions. Another powerful Stoic technique is practicing silence in moments of anger. When emotions are running high, the temptation to speak impulsively can be strong. But Stoicism teaches that silence is often the wisest response. By choosing not to engage in heated discussions or arguments, you give yourself time to reflect and respond more thoughtfully. This practice of silence prevents escalation and allows you to maintain your composure even in challenging situations. Silence becomes a tool for preserving your inner peace. Stoicism also encourages embracing imperfection. Anger often arises when we expect perfection from ourselves, others, or the world around us. But Stoicism teaches that imperfection is a natural part of life. By accepting the flaws and limitations of yourself and others, you reduce the frustration that comes from unmet expectations. This acceptance allows you to navigate life's challenges with a sense of calm, knowing that everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to remain at peace. Another key Stoic strategy is practicing emotional detachment. Anger thrives when we become emotionally invested in situations beyond our control. By practicing detachment, you create a mental distance between yourself and the event, allowing you to observe the situation without being consumed by it. This detachment helps you remain rational and composed, even when faced with provocation. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means maintaining your emotional equilibrium no matter what happens. Stoicism also teaches the importance of setting boundaries. When certain people or situations consistently provoke anger, it's important to protect your peace by setting clear boundaries. This might involve distancing yourself from toxic individuals or removing yourself from stressful environments. Setting boundaries is not about avoidance, but about prioritizing your well-being and ensuring that you have the space to remain calm and centered. By creating these protective measures, you reduce the likelihood of being provoked and ensure that anger doesn't disrupt your peace. Another Stoic practice for mastering anger is focusing on solutions rather than problems. Anger keeps you stuck in a cycle of frustration, fixating on what's wrong or unfair. But Stoicism encourages shifting your focus to finding solutions. By approaching challenges with a problem-solving mindset, you transform anger into action. This proactive approach not only helps resolve the issue, but also reduces the emotional intensity of the situation. Focusing on solutions brings a sense of empowerment and peace, ensuring that anger doesn't control your actions. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of self-awareness in mastering anger. Often, anger arises from deeply ingrained habits or triggers that we may not fully understand. By cultivating self-awareness, you gain insight into your emotional patterns and can recognize when anger is starting to build. This awareness allows you to intervene before the emotion escalates, giving you the power to choose a calmer, more measured response. Self-awareness is key to breaking the cycle of anger and replacing it with rational, intentional actions. Another Stoic technique for mastering anger is practicing mental rehearsal. The Stoics often used premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of adversity, to mentally prepare for challenges they might face. By visualizing how they would respond with calmness and composure in difficult situations, they trained their minds to react rationally when the real event occurred. This mental preparation makes it easier to stay composed in the heat of the moment, as you've already rehearsed how to handle the situation with grace. Stoicism also teaches the value of patience in ending anger. Anger often arises when we're impatient, when things aren't happening as quickly as we'd like, or when others don't meet our expectations. But Stoicism reminds us that patience is essential for maintaining peace. By cultivating patience, you reduce the frustration that fuels anger, allowing you to remain calm even in the face of delays or setbacks. Patience helps you navigate life's challenges with a sense of ease and resilience, ensuring that anger doesn't take hold. Another Stoic practice is focusing on your values. Anger often causes us to act in ways that are out of alignment with our principles. But by staying grounded in your core values, whether it's kindness, honesty, or patience, you ensure that your reactions reflect who you truly are, not the emotion of the moment. This alignment with your values helps you stay calm and composed, even in difficult situations, and prevents anger from dictating your actions. Stoicism also encourages reflecting on the consequences of anger. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to lose sight of how your actions will affect you and others in the long term. But Stoics remind us to consider the ripple effects of our reactions. Will responding with anger improve the situation, or will it create more harm? By thinking through the consequences, you give yourself the space to choose a better, more thoughtful response, ensuring that anger doesn't lead you down a destructive path. Another key Stoic strategy is cultivating emotional resilience. Life will inevitably bring challenges and provocations, but Stoics train themselves to bounce back quickly from emotional disturbances. This resilience helps you maintain your inner calm, even when things don't go as planned. By developing emotional resilience, you become less vulnerable to anger and more capable of handling life's difficulties with grace. Resilience acts as a foundation for lasting peace, ensuring that anger doesn't disrupt your emotional balance. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of accepting responsibility for your emotions. Anger often arises when we blame others or external circumstances for how we feel. But Stoicism teaches that you are responsible for your own emotional state. By taking ownership of your reactions, you empower yourself to change them. This responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself, but recognizing that you have the power to choose how you respond to any situation. This self-mastery is key to ending anger for good. Another Stoic practice is reflecting on the impermanence of life. When anger flares up, it's easy to get caught in the intensity of the moment. But Stoicism teaches that everything is temporary, both the challenges and the emotions they trigger. By reminding yourself of life's impermanence, you gain perspective on the situation and reduce the emotional charge. This awareness helps you stay calm as you realize that the problem and the anger will soon pass. Stoicism also teaches the importance of self-reflection in mastering anger. After a difficult situation, Stoics take time to reflect on how they responded and consider how they might improve in the future. This reflection helps them learn from their experiences, refining their ability to remain calm in challenging moments. By regularly reflecting on your thoughts and actions, you cultivate a deeper understanding of your emotional triggers and develop strategies to handle provocations with greater ease. Another powerful Stoic technique is cultivating a sense of humor. Anger often feels heavy and serious, but Stoics remind us that many situations can be lightened with a bit of humor. By choosing to see the humor in a frustrating situation, you reduce the emotional intensity and shift your mindset toward positivity. This practice helps you stay relaxed and unaffected as you learn to laugh at life's challenges rather than letting them disrupt your peace. Stoicism also emphasizes the practice of gratitude as a way to master anger. Even in moments of frustration, there is always something to be grateful for. By focusing on what's going well, you shift your mindset away from anger and toward appreciation. This practice of gratitude dissolves negative emotions and brings a sense of peace, ensuring that anger doesn't dominate your reactions. Another key Stoic strategy is practicing humility. Anger often arises from a need to prove ourselves or defend our ego, but Stoicism teaches that humility allows us to let go of this need and respond with grace instead. By embracing humility, you reduce the emotional sting of challenges to your pride and remain calm in the face of provocation. This humility helps you prioritize peace over conflict, ensuring that anger doesn't have a place in your reactions. Finally, Stoicism teaches that mastering anger is a lifelong practice. It requires consistent effort, reflection, and growth. By applying these Stoic strategies, shifting your perspective, practicing mindfulness, focusing on what you can control, and embracing humility, you can transform your relationship with anger and cultivate lasting peace. Mastering your reactions takes time, but with dedication, you can end anger for good and live a life of calm, clarity, and emotional freedom. As we've explored how to master your reactions and end anger, it's important to understand why anger itself is often a sign of weakness, not strength. While it might feel empowering in the moment, anger actually exposes emotional vulnerability and a lack of control. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches us how to cultivate real strength, the kind that comes from calmness, resilience, and emotional mastery. Let's dive into why anger is a weakness and how Stoicism helps you build true inner strength. Anger is often perceived as a powerful emotion, but Stoicism reveals that it is actually a sign of internal fragility. When you react with anger, you are allowing external circumstances to dictate your emotions and control your actions. This loss of control shows that you are vulnerable to whatever provokes you, meaning your emotional state is at the mercy of others or unpredictable situations. True strength, as taught by the Stoics, lies in maintaining control over your emotions, ensuring that your reactions are driven by reason, not impulses. One of the main reasons anger is a weakness is that it clouds judgment. In moments of anger, your ability to think clearly and make rational decisions is compromised. You are more likely to act impulsively, say things you don't mean, or make choices that you later regret. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from maintaining clarity of mind, even in stressful situations. By controlling anger, you preserve your ability to make thoughtful decisions, which leads to better outcomes and more effective responses. Another aspect of anger that reflects weakness is its tendency to escalate conflicts. Anger rarely resolves problems. Instead, it often intensifies them. When you respond to a challenge or disagreement with anger, you invite further confrontation, making it harder to find a peaceful or constructive solution. Stoicism, however, teaches the value of de-escalation. By responding to provocations with calmness and patience, you demonstrate emotional strength and are more likely to diffuse tense situations, leading to better resolutions. Anger also reveals a dependency on external validation. Often, anger arises when you feel disrespected or overlooked, signaling a need for recognition or approval from others. This need for validation shows that your self-worth is tied to how others treat you, which makes you emotionally vulnerable. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from within. It's about knowing your own value, independent of others' opinions or actions. When you no longer depend on external validation, you are less likely to be angered by others because their judgments no longer hold power over you. Another reason anger is a weakness is that it creates emotional instability. When you allow anger to take control, your emotional state becomes volatile and unpredictable. This instability can affect your relationships, decision-making, and overall well-being. Stoicism, on the other hand, promotes emotional resilience and stability. By practicing self-control and maintaining inner calm, you cultivate a consistent emotional state that is not easily shaken by external circumstances. This emotional steadiness is a hallmark of true strength. Anger often stems from a desire to control what is beyond your influence, and this is another key reason why it reveals weakness. Whether it's trying to change someone's behavior or fix an outcome, anger arises when you feel frustrated by your inability to control the uncontrollable. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and reactions, while accepting what lies beyond your influence. By embracing this mindset, you free yourself from the frustration that fuels anger, and you gain the strength to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. Another way anger reflects weakness is in how it narrows your perspective. When you are consumed by anger, your focus becomes limited to the source of your frustration, making it difficult to see the bigger picture. This tunnel vision prevents you from considering alternative viewpoints or potential solutions. Stoicism, however, encourages broad thinking and perspective. By maintaining a calm and open mind, you are better able to understand situations in their entirety, allowing you to respond with wisdom rather than reacting with narrow, emotionally charged decisions. Anger also diminishes your ability to practice empathy, which is a sign of emotional weakness. When you're angry, it becomes difficult to see things from another person's perspective or understand their feelings. This lack of empathy can lead to misunderstandings and deepen conflicts. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in the ability to remain compassionate and understanding, even when faced with challenges. By controlling anger, you preserve your capacity for empathy, which strengthens your relationships and leads to more harmonious interactions. Another reason anger is a weakness is that it often reflects a lack of self-discipline. In moments of anger, you may feel compelled to lash out or act impulsively, driven by emotion rather than logic. This lack of self-control can lead to regrettable actions that harm both yourself and others. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-discipline in building true strength. By practicing restraint and controlling your impulses, you demonstrate mastery over your emotions, showing that you are not a prisoner to your feelings, but rather the master of your reactions. Anger is also a sign of weakness because it stems from a fragile ego. When your pride is wounded, whether through criticism, rejection, or perceived disrespect, anger often follows. This reaction reveals an over-reliance on external validation and a need to protect your sense of self. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from humility and the ability to let go of the need to defend your ego. By cultivating humility, you reduce the emotional triggers that lead to anger and develop a sense of inner security that cannot be shaken by others' opinions or actions. Another way anger exposes weakness is by undermining your ability to build trust. When you respond to situations with anger, others may begin to doubt your reliability or your capacity to handle challenges with grace. This erosion of trust can damage both personal and professional relationships. Stoicism teaches that trust is built through calmness, consistency, and emotional control. By mastering your reactions and responding with composure, you strengthen your relationships and earn the respect of others, which is a true marker of inner strength. Anger also shows weakness by fostering resentment. When you hold on to anger, it often turns into long-term resentment, which poisons your relationships and clouds your judgment. Resentment keeps you trapped in a cycle of negativity, making it difficult to move forward. Stoicism teaches that letting go of anger is essential for emotional freedom and growth. By releasing resentment and practicing forgiveness, you demonstrate true strength by freeing yourself from the emotional chains that anger creates. Another reason anger is a weakness is that it wastes valuable energy. Anger consumes both mental and physical energy, leaving you drained and distracted. Instead of focusing on productive actions or meaningful pursuits, anger diverts your attention toward negative emotions, sapping your strength. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from channeling your energy into constructive endeavors. By controlling anger, you preserve your mental and physical resources, allowing you to focus on what truly matters and to act with purpose and intention. Anger also reveals weakness by making you more reactive. When you allow anger to control you, you become a slave to your emotions, reacting impulsively rather than responding thoughtfully. This reactivity can lead to rash decisions and actions that you later regret. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in the ability to respond, not react. By practicing self-awareness and controlling your emotional responses, you demonstrate that you are in control of your mind and actions, rather than being controlled by external triggers. Another way anger shows weakness is in how it disrupts your peace of mind. Anger stirs up emotional turmoil, making it difficult to maintain a sense of inner calm and balance. This lack of peace not only affects your emotional well-being, but also impacts your physical health. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from maintaining inner tranquility, even in the face of adversity. By mastering your emotions and letting go of anger, you create a stable foundation of peace that cannot be easily shaken by external events. Anger also exposes weakness by eroding your resilience. When you respond to challenges with anger, you become more easily frustrated and less able to bounce back from setbacks. This emotional fragility makes it harder to navigate life's difficulties with grace and strength. Stoicism teaches that resilience is a key component of true strength. By controlling anger and cultivating emotional resilience, you develop the ability to face challenges head-on without being overwhelmed by negative emotions. This resilience allows you to remain strong and composed, no matter what life throws your way. Another reason anger is a weakness is that it creates unnecessary conflict. When you respond to situations with anger, you are more likely to provoke hostility and escalate tensions, making it harder to find common ground or resolve disagreements. Stoicism, however, teaches that true strength comes from fostering harmony and seeking peaceful solutions. By remaining calm and composed, you are better able to navigate conflicts with diplomacy and understanding, ensuring that you build bridges rather than burn them. Anger also reveals weakness by diminishing your self-respect. When you lose control and lash out in anger, you may feel ashamed or regretful afterward, which can damage your sense of self-worth. Stoicism teaches that self-respect is built through emotional mastery and self-control. By controlling your reactions and responding with dignity, you not only earn the respect of others, but also strengthen your own sense of integrity and pride. Another way anger exposes weakness is by limiting your capacity for growth. When you are consumed by anger, your mind becomes closed off to new ideas, perspectives, and possibilities. This emotional rigidity prevents you from learning from challenges and growing as a person. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from maintaining an open mind and embracing the opportunity for growth in every situation. By controlling anger and remaining open to new perspectives, you allow yourself to evolve and develop, both emotionally and intellectually. Anger also reflects weakness by making you more susceptible to external manipulation. When you are easily angered, others can provoke or influence you to act against your own best interests. This emotional vulnerability makes you an easy target for those who wish to exploit your reactions. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from being unshakable in the face of external pressure. By mastering your emotions and remaining calm under provocation, you become less susceptible to manipulation and maintain control over your own actions. Another reason anger is a weakness is that it blinds you to the truth. In moments of anger, your judgment becomes clouded, and you may jump to conclusions or make assumptions that aren't based on reality. This emotional distortion prevents you from seeing situations clearly and making informed decisions. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from maintaining clarity of thought. By controlling anger and approaching situations with a calm and rational mind, you are better able to discern the truth and act with wisdom. Anger also reveals weakness by creating a sense of entitlement. When you feel angered by a perceived injustice or slight, it often stems from a belief that you are owed something, whether it's respect, recognition, or fairness. This sense of entitlement makes you more prone to frustration and disappointment when reality doesn't meet your expectations. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from humility and acceptance. By letting go of entitlement and embracing life as it is, you free yourself from the frustration that fuels anger and develop the emotional strength to navigate challenges with grace. Another way anger shows weakness is by creating division. When you respond to situations with anger, you push people away, creating emotional distance and weakening your relationships. This isolation can leave you feeling disconnected and unsupported, which only exacerbates feelings of frustration. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from building strong, supportive connections with others. By controlling anger and responding with kindness and understanding, you strengthen your relationships and create a network of emotional support that enhances your resilience. Anger also exposes weakness by preventing you from taking responsibility for your actions. In moments of anger, it's easy to blame others for your emotions or justify your behavior based on external circumstances. This lack of accountability shows that you are not fully in control of your reactions. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from taking full responsibility for your emotions and actions. By owning your responses and choosing to act with intention rather than react with anger, you demonstrate true emotional maturity and strength. Another reason anger is a weakness is that it feeds a sense of victimhood. When you allow anger to take over, you position yourself as a victim of circumstance, focusing on what has been done to you rather than what you can do to change the situation. This mindset keeps you trapped in a cycle of frustration and helplessness. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from empowerment and self-determination. By controlling anger and focusing on what you can control, you reclaim your power and take proactive steps to improve your circumstances. Anger also reflects weakness by making you more prone to regret. In the heat of anger, you may say or do things that you later regret, damaging relationships or missing out on opportunities for growth. This regret can weigh heavily on your conscience, creating a cycle of guilt and frustration. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from acting with foresight and wisdom. By controlling your emotions and thinking through the consequences of your actions, you avoid the pitfalls of regret and maintain your integrity. Another way anger shows weakness is by making you more defensive. When you react with anger, it often stems from a need to protect yourself from criticism or challenge. This defensiveness closes you off to feedback and prevents you from learning from others. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from openness and vulnerability. By embracing feedback and remaining calm in the face of criticism, you demonstrate true confidence and resilience, showing that you are secure in yourself and willing to grow. Anger also reveals weakness by damaging your physical health. Prolonged anger increases stress levels, which can lead to a host of physical ailments, from high blood pressure to heart disease. This deterioration of your physical well-being weakens your ability to live a fulfilling and healthy life. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from maintaining both emotional and physical health. By controlling anger and cultivating a sense of inner peace, you protect your body from the harmful effects of stress, ensuring that you remain strong and healthy. Another reason anger is a weakness is that it disconnects you from your higher self. When you are consumed by anger, you lose sight of your values and principles, acting out of emotion rather than integrity. This disconnection from your true self weakens your sense of purpose and direction. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from aligning your actions with your core values. By controlling anger and acting with purpose, you stay true to who you are, ensuring that your reactions reflect your highest ideals. Anger also reflects weakness by making you more reactive to external events. When you allow anger to control you, you become a slave to circumstances, reacting to whatever happens around you rather than proactively shaping your own path. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from being proactive and intentional in your actions. By mastering your emotions and responding with calmness and thoughtfulness, you take control of your life and chart your own course, regardless of external challenges. Another way anger shows weakness is by creating a cycle of negativity. When you allow anger to take over, it breeds more anger, leading to a continuous loop of frustration and resentment. This negativity not only affects your emotional well-being, but also impacts those around you, creating a toxic environment. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from breaking this cycle and cultivating positivity. By controlling anger and focusing on constructive emotions like gratitude, compassion, and understanding, you create a more positive and peaceful environment for yourself and others. Anger also reveals weakness by limiting your ability to achieve your goals. When you are consumed by anger, your focus shifts from pursuing your aspirations to dealing with emotional turmoil. This distraction prevents you from making progress and achieving success. Stoicism teaches that strength comes from maintaining focus and discipline. By controlling anger and staying centered on your goals, you ensure that nothing derails your progress, allowing you to achieve your full potential. Finally, anger shows weakness by making you less adaptable. When you react with anger, you become rigid and resistant to change, making it harder to adjust to new circumstances or challenges. This inflexibility weakens your ability to thrive in an ever-changing world. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from adaptability and resilience. By controlling anger and embracing change with an open mind, you develop the flexibility needed to navigate life's uncertainties with confidence and grace. In conclusion, while anger might feel like a source of power, it ultimately exposes emotional weakness and a lack of control. Stoicism offers a path to true strength, one that is built on calmness, resilience, humility, and emotional mastery. By applying these Stoic principles, you can transcend the limitations of anger and cultivate the inner strength needed to live a life of peace, purpose, and unwavering strength. As we've journeyed through these Stoic strategies, you now hold the tools to transform your life. Anger no longer needs to control you or cloud your judgment. By embracing the power of Stoicism, you've unlocked the path to mastering your emotions, staying calm under pressure, and ultimately building a stronger, more peaceful version of yourself. These are not just temporary fixes, they're lifelong practices that will allow you to face any challenge with grace and resilience. Now it's your turn. Which of these strategies resonated with you the most? Drop a comment below and let us know how you plan to integrate Stoic wisdom into your daily life. And if you're ready to continue this journey of self-mastery and inner strength, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got plenty more transformative insights coming your way. Welcome to a life of calm and control. Let's keep growing together.